Hey, we're good. I pressed the right button. All right, my friends. This is a breaking story. Donald Trump had a secret plan to put Charlie Kirk. You see, you guys. I'm sorry. You say they didn't turn the mics on. What's going on? Wait, is it even coming through? Welcome to our last show of the year, everybody. It's going to be a lot of fun. We got big news. Apparently, Donald Trump was planning to put Charlie Kirk in the White House. After he left, the plan, according to the Daily Mail, was that Charlie Kirk would be the vice presidential candidate for J.D. Vance. The plan was, should they go 2 terms, the next candidate in 2036 was going to be Charlie Kirk himself. And everybody knew it, and that's why they've been saying it. Now the reporting is out. However, currently at AmFest, it's, I don't know, I say Civil War because it's shock titling or whatever you're going to call it. It's infighting. People have just said it's a bit like walking on eggshells. Half the people are upset with the other half of the people or something like this. Ben Shapiro's ragging on Tucker and Megyn Kelly, and then Tucker comes out, laughs, and calls him pompous. Everyone's fighting, and it's pretty crazy. We had Fresh and Fit. You guys know Myron and Fresh. They got barred. And who was it? It was Fresh, right?
Yeah, Fresh. He got walked off.
He got walked off by security, and they're like, we don't know why. And he's like, okay, I guess. And then eventually they let him back in. But you can see right now the gatekeeping has begun, and the Republican Party and this machine is going to be reshaped into something else. So it's happening. Elise Stefanik dropping out of the race in New York. She's not going to run for Congress again. Tons of people are retiring. Troy Nails is retiring, I believe. People are getting the F out of politics. And I'll tell you this too. I don't want to drag anybody, but some of the people that we've been talking to abruptly at the last minute are like, you know what? I can't be involved in this. We saw it in Maine. People are terrified of being murdered, of being shot at. And I think when I come out and say, hey, they shot at my studio, a lot of people are going to be like, dude, I don't want to be involved in whatever is going on right now. What does that mean? I honestly have no idea, but it's the last show of the year. We're going to talk about it. Before we do, guys, we got a great sponsor for you. It is Crowd Health. It's open enrollment, my friends. The season where health insurance companies hope you'll blindly sign up again for overpriced premiums and confusing fine print. Don't just take someone else's word. Trust yourself and take control of your future with Crowd Health, the healthcare alternative for people who make their own decisions. It's healthcare for under $100. You get access to a team of health bill negotiators, low-cost prescription and lab testing tools, as well as a database of low-cost, high-quality doctors vetted by Crowd Health. And what if something major happens? You pay the first $500 and the crowd steps in to help fund the rest. It feels like the options we used to have before Obamacare messed everything up. And of course, you'll join the crowd, a group of members just like you who want to help pay for each other's unexpected medical events. The system is betting you'll stay stuck in the same overpriced, overcomplicated mess. And this year, it's even more complicated because most of the ACA subsidies expire, which means your prices are going sky high. So far, Crowd Health members have saved over $40 million. That was way too high. $40 million in healthcare expenses because they refuse to overpay for healthcare. This open enrollment, take your power back. Use promo code TIM at joincrowdhealth.com and get started today for $99. Crowd Health is not insurance. Opt out. Take your power back. It's how we win. Joincrowdhealth.com. Use promo code TIM. And we also have this right here. We've got Rumble, the official broadcaster, December 20th. That's tomorrow. Dubai, 2 p.m. Eastern, exclusively on Rumble Premium. Andrew Tate fighting Chase Damore. And I hear that everybody either wants to see Andrew Tate beat the crap out of somebody or get the crap beaten out of him. Either way, your money is well worth it. Use promo code TIM10 at Rumble Premium. Watch the fight tomorrow. I am not going to miss this. I'm actually rooting for Andrew Tate. I don't know about the rest of you, but that's what I'm going for. What do you guys think? Who do you guys want to win? You want Tate to win?
Yeah, I kind of do want Tate to win, but I did see. Did you guys see the weigh-in and the stare down?
Yeah.
Tate flinched.
Yep.
Oh my God.
Yep.
I've never seen that happen before.
All right. Well, anyway, obviously joining us tonight, we got Rollo Tomassi.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Who are you? What do you do?
Well, hey, I am the author of The Rational Male. I've been on doing your show once. I think it was about
number 2, I think,
a year ago. Welcome to Las Vegas. Finally got you out here. That's great. Playing some poker, doing some gaming.
I've never been a big fan of Vegas, but I'm having fun now.
Yeah, good.
Probably because
You got something to do here.
I got something to do here, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We got Tate hanging out.
What is going on? Patriots, Tate Brown here holding it down. Yeah, I'm partial to Andrew Tate because my name's Tate Brown. His name's Andrew Tate. He is Brown. And when you look up my name on Twitter, it's just people calling Andrew Tate Brown. Floods the floods the zone. But I'm partial to Andrew Tate. I think he's going to put on a show. I'm looking forward to it.
It's going to follow you around the rest of your life.
It's true.
I'm at Ian Crofton. You'll find me. Check out Graphene Movie. Graphene.movie. The trailer is now live on Graphene.movie, the upcoming documentary on nanotechnology that I worked on and produced out of Rice University in Texas. I think it's pretty entertaining. Check it out at Graphene.movie. Phil Labonte.
Hello, everybody. My name is Phil Labonte. I'm the lead singer of the heavy metal band All That Remains. I'm an anti-communist and a counter-revolutionary. Let's get into it.
And of course, shout out to Mike Lindell, MyPillow. Go to mypillow.com. Use promo code TIM. Thank you, MyPillow, for making this possible. They sponsored our efforts out here. You know, whenever we travel and do these big shows, it's very difficult. It's very expensive. And thanks to the team and Mike Lindell over at MyPillow, they made it possible. Get your pillows, get your slippers, get your towels, get all the good stuff. MyPillow. Use promo code TIM, the best promo code. Here's a story from the Daily Mail. This is actually fairly wild. Trump's secret succession plan to put Charlie Kirk in the Oval Office and groom a shock new VP. I'm going to lay it down for you. It's very simple. The plan was 2028, J.D. Vance, presidential ticket, Vance Kirk. Charlie Kirk as the VP. And it was perfect. He was young. It's going to be a few years from now. He'd be old enough. And then 2 terms, Charlie Kirk would be the next presidential candidate, and he would be a relatively young, well-known, high-profile guy. His VP was going to be Don Jr., which makes a lot of sense. Now, I wonder, with the assassination, was it just something so simple as he's a guy whose politics we don't like? Or was there perhaps a, we don't want this guy to win the presidency, some nefarious efforts? I lean towards the very simple, crackpot leftists planned this, and they wanted to stop Charlie Kirk. But if I was going to be conspiratorial, I'd argue it's going to be machine state, deep state, whatever you might think.
Yeah, I mean, I think the shooting in and of itself demonstrated the gravity that Charlie Kirk had. I mean, he had an entire apparatus behind him that he had built from scratch. And whoever, the man that shot him, obviously was fully aware of that. He knew what he was doing. Michael Knowles made this point on his show, and it's something that not a lot of conservatives want to hear because it's like a sobering reality. But what he said is that assassinations work. That's why people do them. And taking Charlie Kirk off the board, after it wasn't this kumbaya moment, like, guys, we gotta take it back. Everyone was like, we're in trouble without Charlie Kirk. Like, there's no doubt about it. He occupied such a massive space on the right. And I mean, I'm glad the Daily Mail is at least reporting that there was a plan in place, but I think it was going to be obvious that either way he was going to be a presidential, certainly a candidate. I mean, he held unbelievable weight in the conservative movement. It would have just been inevitable, I think.
Yeah, I don't think there's a lot of people in the conservative movement. I don't think there's anyone in the conservative movement that had the influence that Charlie did. You know, his ability to reach out and talk to young people. I saw basically a sizzle reel of like all of the people that were just adoring Charlie the day that he was shot, right? Like it was the 3-month anniversary. Someone put together a sizzle reel, and there was nothing gruesome in it. It was about celebrating Charlie's life. And, you know, even that day, just, you know, there's like 3,000 people there. People were just stoked to see him. And I mean, he was treated like a rock star, you know? And when you have someone that is that influential and has that much goodwill towards him from a voting bloc, I mean, it's unstoppable when it comes to, at least politically, you know, it's something that was remarkable, honestly. So it is obviously, it's a massive loss, and it is good to hear, you know, the Daily Mail talking about this and putting this information out there. So
yeah, he's aptly dubbed the quarterback of the MAGA movement.
Yeah.
When your quarterback goes down, your offense grinds to a halt.
I mean, look what's happening at AmFest right now. Look at all the things that have happened in the wake of Charlie Kirk.
yeah,
I think
Look at everything just imploding right now.
I think we're looking at there's been a political elite civil war going on since Trump got in. The Democrats, what did they called Trump the Pied Piper candidate? They hoped that if Trump won the Republican primary, he would lead the Republicans in a direction that would cost them the election. Trump won.
yeah.
Whoopsie. And since then, they have been doing everything in their power to destroy the right populist movement.
Yeah.
This, with the taking out of Charlie, either through sheer convenience that some left wacko, left line wacko did this, or somebody planned something. Because I don't think for a second it's a lone shooter theory.
That's funny because like when I remember the day he got shot, and I was talking with my wife, and I said, if you want to watch this video, watch this video. If I suggest you don't. And she's like, why would they do this? What is it about him that makes him so important? I said, he's such a likable guy. And I said, most likely it's because he was making a presidential run at some point, or he would have been 35 in 2028. I mean, even if it's not president, maybe he's vice president. He's running on. This is the first time I've ever heard my suspicions, anyways, like confirmed. But like, yeah, I mean, he was very popular. You don't have to. He doesn't have to be a politician's politician. I mean, he could just be a well-liked guy, and for his his views and his convictions and standing up for all that stuff. Especially, you give him another 4 years.
I think.
Where's he then?
Well, yeah, where does he go afterwards,
Yeah.
right? I think, especially with the money they were raising, I think the Tyler Robinson story is the closest to reality, but who knows? However, this idea that he acted alone, I think, is silly, especially when there's reporting that there were vehicles gathering outside his home, and like there was a meeting, and people were going on social media and posting that they had foreknowledge of his assassination. Yeah. The most likely thing, it sounds like liberal activists, left-leaning progressive activists, plotted this. And it wasn't just because Charlie was hateful; it's because he was effective. So, I'm conspiracy 100% on this one. I just think that the likely scenario would be Tyler Robinson working with other people of this political persuasion, not like I don't know what
my question was this:
whatever.
okay, let's just pure speculation here. Let's say they run Charlie Kirk. Who does the left run against Charlie Kirk in 2028? Who do they put up there? Like
AOC?
Yeah, AOC would go down just like Hillary went down because she's just not as likable as somebody as like Charlie Kirk. I understand why they would. They need rock stars.
I don't think a woman can win the presidency.
Gavin Newsom. They've already done a talk show together, Gavin and Charlie.
That's what I was thinking, Gavin Newsom. But Gavin Newsom versus Charlie, man, Gavin Newsom looks like a snake. He looks like a used car salesman next to
The
him.
only way a woman wins the presidency is if both parties nominate a woman. And that means, like, through inner politicking, they make this woman happen. The idea that a woman running against a man, I think it's almost always going to end up with the woman losing. And it's funny because when I say this, the progressives go, Tim's sexist. He says a woman can't win. It's your argument.
Yeah.
It's that there are many men who would never vote for a woman. I believe you are correct, liberals.
What if it was
leftists.
Tulsi Gabbard for the Republican Party, and then the Democrats just bypassed the primary and selected with superdelegates some despicable, weak man that people thought was useless?
Let's
you
play
don't
a
think
game.
Tulsi would
Let's
beat
play
that?
a game, bro. Hold on. We got to do. We're in Vegas.
Right.
Here's what we're gonna do, brother.
All right.
We're gonna walk on the strip up to some regular old people, some homies, and we're gonna ask them, "Would you vote for a woman president?" And you know what's gonna happen? Half the guys are gonna go, "Hell no."
Would you vote for 88-year-old fat, tired man too? And they'd be like, "No."
I mean, bro, what do you think?
Who would you vote
They're
for?
already there. They've already done so. I mean, like
There's tons of videos already where they're like in Times Square and they're like, "Would you ever vote for a woman president?" And these young guys are like, "Never." And they ask them like, "What if the candidate was like, the crippled old man?" And they're like, "Nah, women shouldn't be president." Even women go, "No, I wouldn't vote for a woman."
Yeah, there's lots of like attributes of a presidential candidate that negatively impact them potentially. I mean, it's difficult for men that are short to sort of win the presidency. It's difficult
to actually win.
It's difficult for single men to win the presidency. I mean, that was the biggest hit against Tim Scott in the primaries, was that he was single and then just swirled like homosexual allegations. It's like but there's there's a lot of physical attributes that come into play because you're selling them on a package, you're selling them on an aesthetic, you're selling them on a vibe.
Bro,
all of these things synthesize into a political
Trump
candidate.
Shouldn't have won. Hillary Clinton was just very unlikable, politically evil, and there were a lot of people that don't want to vote for a woman.
Yeah, I mean, people downplay the actual effect that has when people see her next to Trump on a debate stage where he's towering above her, wide shoulders, he's like a total alpha, and then Hillary's this tiny little stumpy woman in a pantsuit. It's
Kamala Harris requested that her podium in the debate be smaller so that it looked proportionate to her body, like Trump on camera.
Wow.
Because most people were only seeing Kamala and then Trump and back and forth. And the camera zooms were made to make them look the same size on TV. But when you were there, she had a teeny little podium and he had a very big one.
So Tim Walz, Democratic nominee, versus Tulsi Gabbard. You think Tim Walz would win?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, that's tough.
I mean, Rollo's the
I would actually-
masculine.
I would speculate
I'm
I would speculate that
Not Tim Walz wins. And I'll say this. I like Tulsi Gabbard as well, but I remember her performance in 2020, and she did some really good things, but it was not X Factor level 10. It was not up there.
And also in this hypothetical, like, you're dealing with someone that used to be a Democrat. There would be plenty of Republicans that would come out and say, "No, she's actually a Democrat. Remember, she used to this and used to that, etc." And so they wouldn't trust her to be an actual conservative.
I'll give you this, Ian.
She's also a Krishna too.
A woman can beat a man if it is intentionally uniparty propping up a loser guy who
That's what
can't
I
win.
wonder,
Right.
yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
so like Tim Waltz. So Tim Waltz absolutely can lose to some women for sure. I guess so. I agree with you, and I stand corrected. I correct my position. What I'm saying is a legitimate race with a real primary. And real, I mean, with superdelegates and all that, where they actually are like, we want this female. Female's not going to be the guy.
Yeah.
If the Democrats collude with the Republicans and say, we're going to pick a guy who's literally in a coma, and then you're going to pick a charismatic woman, then the woman's probably going to win.
Yeah, and Nikki Haley pulls really well against Democrat candidates purely because she's not really threatening to the sort of regime as it stands in any way. If you want to bring in like a truly formidable, paradigm-changing candidate, they're going to be a male because you're going to have to sell them on the additional factors. So that's why Trump had to be.
I was going to say, I wrote this essay that probably about a year after the Trump-Hillary in 2016, right? And I spelled it out this way: is Hillary was so unlikable and was she's like the epitome of feminism. She's like the most foaming at the mouth. If you want to say like, what does a feminist look like, you're gonna go to Hillary Clinton, right? You're gonna look at her. She's like this kaiju of feminism, right? There's only one other person, one male on planet Earth that is as big a kaiju. It's like Godzilla versus Rodan or something, and you've got Hillary on one side, and then you've got Trump on the other side. Trump is the only one who is so over the top masculine that he could possibly be a contender against somebody who is so over the top feminist as she is. And so, like, if you think about it this way, though, everybody thought that Hillary was going to win, so much so that Newsweek had the covers already prepared for it. What was it? Remember that show, House of Cards?
Oh, yeah.
House of Cards changed the plot of House of Cards, expecting there to be a female president. In the Super Bowl ads of, I guess it would have been 2017 at that point, the Super Bowl ads had to all go back and rejigger all of their Super Bowl ads that they'd shot 6 months prior, because they shot them with the intention of, building up little girls to be the next female president, because they were so certain that Hillary was going to be the next or the first female president.
I thought she was going to win too.
Everybody thought that. He whips in there, and nobody wanted to vote.
Let me tell you about one of the greatest days of my life. I was sitting there watching the New York Times probability meter, greater than 99% Hillary Clinton. And then every 10 minutes, every few minutes, it's just moving. I remember when I got to 50-50, and I'm sitting there, and I'm just, I'm sorry, I put my feet up, I'm laughing. And then I remember when it ticked over to Trump winning. I didn't vote for Trump. I just absolutely loved watching Hillary Clinton get just destroyed in an election, because I can't stand these people. But I will say this. J.D. Vance, tall guy. Don Jr., tall guy. Charlie Kirk, he was like 8 feet tall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he was 6'5", right?
Yeah. Well, because it contributes to, like, it's tough to quantify aura, but aura genuinely does come into play. This is like why Howard Dean got smoked in the polls right after that scream, because he lost all his aura.
You also we're hiring a military commander, and you want a tall man that can see over the heads of the dudes in front of him. I mean, that's the genetic, real animalistic reason we want a tall man.
Deep voice as well.
Yeah.
Let's jump to this story from Politico. MAGA infighting erupts at Turning Point USA conference. Two of the night's headliners, Ben Shapiro and Tucker Carlson, threw jabs at each other in their speeches. And I'm hearing now that people are like, it's pretty tense because you've got different factions now that are basically going to odds with each other. Check this out from Dom Lucre. This is a video of them kicking out Fresh from the Fresh and Fit podcast. Look at this. So he's filming. This is Fresh filming.
Yeah. Thanks for being cool about it, man. Cool. Appreciate it. But did it say what I did or something? Or no, I got nothing. Damn. All right.
Think about this.
Well, kicked out. Apparently, I don't know why. But yeah. That's crazy, right?
Apparently, they also barred Myron from coming in as well, but then later reversed and let them both come back in. They both got back in. I think it's very obvious. There is a MAGA civil war, and I'm telling you, I think who's going to win is going to be the Romney-esque conservatives. And then I'll put it like this, because we talked about it a little bit yesterday. I got asked by a reporter from the Wall Street Journal about what I thought was going on, and I said, well, we weren't invited. They invited me back after the fact, for whatever reason, and I was like, we're booked. I'm just not going to do it. And I got to be honest, I really don't want to be there. With this, with all the stuff going on, with all this bickering, bitching, infighting, I don't know what is going on with this, but I will tell you this. I do not care for the suit-wearing Republican Party. Never did. Democrats are absolutely insane. They're insane people who do things that are insane for insane reasons. For that reason, I voted for Republicans. Donald Trump's different. I like J.D. Vance, but I don't like the stodgy Bush-era suit-wearing conservatives. And what AmFest is turning into is guy in suit comes out, says Christianity, guy in suit comes out, says immigration, and I'm like, well, it's not really for me. Now you've got infighting. Now you've got the people screaming about the Jews, and I'm just like, yo, if that's the direction you're going, I'm not interested. And so I'll say this one thing. Jillian Michaels, shout out. She's on that show with PBD's, what is it?
Her Take?
Yeah, called Her, and they're like, let's make a view for real people. And this viral clip happened where Anna Kasparian brings up Israel again. And Jillian Michael goes, oh my God, I did not come here to just talk about Israel nonstop. And she gets up and leaves. The anti-Israel people framed it as though Jillian refused to criticize Israel. The real story is that Anna Kasparian brings up Israel all the time. And Jillian's actual complaint is, I get it already. Can we talk about something else? If this is the direction they're going, it's going to be the Jews with like Candace Owens, or it's going to be suit-wearing, Bush-era interventionist, boring, I'm not there. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't know who in the Democratic Party I'm voting for because they're insane too. But I have a potential prediction based on what we're seeing now with the MAGA Civil War, whatever you want to call it. I don't know how likely it will be, but I believe there's a decent probability a Rogan-esque Democrat emerges. I mean, like Joe Rogan-esque, who says, I don't know what's going on with the Republicans. He's going to be wearing a flannel. He's going to be like big into MMA. He's going to be a reasonable guy. He's going to be friends with comedians. And he's going to say, the Republicans are going weird on me, man, just like the Democrats used to. I'm going to try and save the Democratic Party and bring it back to normalcy. And then this person could advocate against the weird trans and the kid stuff, push out the weird far lefty cultural stuff, keep the far lefty economic stuff, and be someone who appears reasonable to working class Americans and actually win.
Republicans are still have a better approval rating than Democrats. Democrats are still in the toilet.
Yeah.
So I mean, the Republicans still could make something out of this, but if they're fighting with each other about, who's going to actually be in charge of the Republican Party, because that's the sense that I get about the AmFest stuff, right? Like the fight is now, okay, we want to keep the people that we find offensive or we find distasteful. We want to keep them out, and we want this to go back to the kind of Romney-esque, normal, quote-unquote, Republicans. But that's not what the MAGA coalition is. The MAGA coalition wasn't exclusive. It didn't kick people out. And so Republicans can make something of this and capitalize on really historic low favorability for the Democrats. But if they're going to exclude people, they're going to be giving away votes.
Well, I think there's 2 points. I mean, one, I do think Vance is probably the only person in the party right now that's capable of stitching the coalition together. Yep. He's demonstrated that he is the best at framing, probably in the entire Republican Party. I was talking to Phil earlier about this. The moment that I really realized Vance is the guy, I mean, I always liked him, I always supported him, and I was excited when he was a VP candidate. But when I realized, this is the guy for 28, was after the Politico article came out about the group chat leak. And, everyone on the right was kind of unsure how to handle it. Do we condemn these kids? Do we throw them under the bus? And then Vance comes out and says, I don't really care about a group chat leak when the AG candidate in Virginia is threatening to kill Republicans. You guys need to clean up your side before we ever consider hall monitoring our side. So I do think Vance is probably the only guy that's capable of stitching that coalition together, but the knives are out for him from both the neocons and sort of the Groyper aligned people. But I do think with the Democrats, they're going to struggle to actually present sort of a moderate MMA type of guy because they're beholden to their base. And that's sort of the issue in the Democrat Party is the base has no appetite whatsoever to...
Something happened?
Myron Fresh wanted to send you a video. They're doing their best. They wanted to send
right on. Right on. Shout out to Fresh and Fit. They're in AmFest now. I'm glad they got in.
Yeah.
I just think next year they're not going to be let in. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's going to be bad for the Republican Party.
Well, no, I was going to say their base has no appetite to moderate right now. And then here's the primary issue for a moderate Democrat if they were to try to merge on the national scene is they're also beholden to staffers. And so when you're trying to staff a campaign, when you're trying to staff an administration, the problem is in the Democrat Party on the left is they're all functionally activists. They all believe they're in perpetual revolution.
True.
And so, let's say, maybe a Rogan type of guy does come along who's maybe a bit more moderate. He's going to instantly get pushed to the left by his staff. It's not a one-man army. A political campaign is really a conglomeration of everybody within that
Yeah,
campaign.
I just to your point, I just saw a tweet earlier. Owen Wilson, who's the guy, or no, Owen Jones. I'm sorry,
Owen Wilson.
Wilson.
I like that
Nice.
guy.
Owen Jones, who's he's a Politico he's a commentator in the UK, and he misgendered someone in some kind of online discussion or whatever, and he was getting lambasted by people. So that the idea that woke has gone away is totally wrong, and that's still very, very influential on the left. So someone that would be a Rogan-esque kind of every man's man. The feminists are not going to get behind him. The intersectionalists are not going to get behind him.
I'm glad you brought up.
So-
I'm glad you brought up Rogan-esque, because the first thing that happened right after Trump got into office, you have all these talk shows that were talking, how did we lose? Well, I can't believe we're trying to analyze how they lost. And the very first thing they said was, I think it was Dana Bash was the first one to mention that we're living in the manosphere right now. And literally, I still have that. I still have that clip. But I watched all these talk shows in the sort of aftermath of the election, and they were all saying, well, we don't have a Jordan Peterson, we don't have a Theo Vaughn, we don't have a Joe Rogan, we don't have somebody who's like popular with the boys. How do we get the men to come back to the Democrat Party? And so you never had them in the first place. In fact, you actively ran them out of the party. But now they're trying to. I'm seeing the rise of this sort of character right now, and I'm just going to use Scott Galloway as the example here. But Scott Galloway he's the safest edgelord that there is right now, and he'll go on Oprah, he'll go on with Chris Williamson, he'll go with these guys, and it's always these half measures, but it always comes back to sort of he wants to address the fact that young men are having issues and problems these days, but then he'll turn around somehow and make it the same people's fault for that. But I see what they're trying to do. They're trying to sort of groom a figure. I'm not saying they're going to run Scott Galloway as a presidential candidate, but somebody like him who has that kind of gravitas, I guess, that a Rogan does, or like that sort of online podcaster sort of voice that they can relate to. I think that's probably a direction that they want to go.
They're trying.
I agree with you guys on there's a lot of feminists, but the same way we are seeing the icing out of the Jews people on the right, I would not be surprised to see, as these people keep saying, where's our left-wing Joe Rogan, with, maybe we need to get rid of these wackaloons. And so you will start seeing it's not difficult to do. You can easily, look what's happening with Candace. She's the center stage of the conspiratard right. And it's not even right-wing. I mean, she's attracting liberals.
Yeah.
This may actually rope all of the fringe weirdos into a space where you get moderate conservatives and moderate liberals largely agreeing, and then you have the wackaloon left with the wackaloon right together because they hate Israel. One of the things I tweeted was the future left-right divide is going to be those who are ambivalent to pro-Israel and those who hate Israel. Because Anna Kasparian is now a Candace Owens fan. And the Young Turks audience in the comment section are big Candace Owens fans. They have found their unity in hating Israel, and that's going to be some other weird faction. And then moderates are going to be like, well, you're going to start. I would not be surprised. I'm not saying it's true. If CNN starts saying these people are just plumb crazy, starts trying to bring it back, and they occupy then a similar space to Fox News, the way it used to be, where they largely agreed on everything except for a few wedge issues. And then you're going to have the online space of the Jews people, and then you're going to have the mainstream space of moderate politics. I do think that it's very pro-Israel, by the way.
Well, you're starting to see the Democrats try to, like you're talking about, try to sort of get people to get their candidates to pass the sniff test for sort of what masculine politics would look like. There's a Senate candidate in Maine, Graham Plattner, and he does the thing where he wears the flannel and he cuts these ads where he's chopping wood and he's tries to talk in a really deep voice, but he tries to sell these policies that are inherently really gay in a way that would pass the sniff test for normal people. And so he'll cut an ad where he's like, you know what I hate to see? I hate when these chuds misgender a beautiful trans woman. And it's got the facade of a tough man. I think he was a Marine or something. But the problem is these guys are just so beholden to their base, because the ones that aren't, the ones that are actually pushing maybe more towards the middle, they get completely lambasted by the Democrats. Look at how they've treated John Fetterman.
Let's jump to the story we've got breaking from Amfest. This is a speech by Vivek Ramaswamy roasting the idea of heritage Americans.
About criticizing the woke left. Now let me get to the harder part. There's a different vision of American identity that's emergent in certain corridors of the online right. And it says that your identity as an American is based on your lineage. That how long you have been in the country, your lineage and your genetics tied to the blood and soil of the country determines how American you are. It is the idea of a heritage American that says the truest form of an American is somebody who is a descendant of the American Revolution period or before. And I will tell you, this idea of the heritage American, we ought to have this discussion. It's becoming more popular. I think the idea of a heritage American is about as loony as anything the woke left has actually put up. There is no American who is more American than somebody else. The American quality, it's not like the left, they believe in this non-binary stuff. There's no non-binary American. It is binary. Either you're an American or you're not. And you think about it, I could prove this to you. Thank you. I'll take some applause on that.
Let's hear it. Prove it to me.
If you really believe in this idea, think about where it leads you. It leads you to believe that Donald Trump is less of an American than Joe Biden because Donald Trump's mother was an immigrant and his grandfather was an immigrant. That doesn't make any sense.
That's not the argument.
Leads you to believe that somehow Bernie Sanders is more of an American than Senator Bernie Moreno from my home state, an America First patriot, because Bernie Moreno was a naturalized citizen from Colombia. It makes you think that Marco Rubio, our great Secretary of State, is somehow less of an American than Elizabeth Warren because she's a Native American, which we all know, right? Doesn't make any sense. It's loony. It's crazy talk. It makes you believe that somehow I am less of an American than the transgender criminal who assassinated Charlie Kirk. We refuse to accept that. The idea that a heritage American is any more American than another American is un-American at its core. And I will fight to the very end for that because that's what it means to be an American. We believe in ideals. That is who we are.
So take a look at where AmFest is going and where the right is going. And it is very, very easy to understand. And I will explain it all to you. We have no babies.
Yes.
We are missing a major portion of our entry-level labor market. Universities are starting to collapse because there's no matriculation. That's your word, remember?
word.
It means entering university. Because in 2008 with the financial crash, people like me didn't have babies. So now we have a generation half the size as the previous generation. The powers that be want immigrants in this country. They don't care about baseball and apple pie. They don't care about truth, justice, in the American way. Those are secondary to graph go up. I believe this is the direction of the Republican Party. Republicans and Democrats together are going to make as many arguments as they can that everyone is an American. And I will explain it to Vivek. I like Vivek. First, a heritage American in the lightest example is not as he described. That Joe Biden's family was here longer than Trump, so he's more American. That's not the argument. The argument is if your grandparents were here, you are a heritage American, which means even starting today, if a family comes here and they have kids and those kids are raised, they're saying it's like third generation, basically, people who have stronger ties to the country and what it was built out to be. It doesn't mean before the Revolutionary War that is a straw man. There's an argument from people who are saying, my grandfather helped build Town Hall. They brought in Haitian migrants into my town, and now they're voting against me. My family fought and died for my ability to have a good life. That's the argument.
What about my great-grandfather was a drunken boxer and a total abusive loser that had contributed next to nothing to society, but he was here.
I am not standing here to say that Vivek is wrong when he says the transgender assassin was more American than he is. I think Vivek is a great American. I believe that he is a great patriot. I like what Vivek largely does, and I am criticizing him in this particular point. Vivek obviously views the world this way because he comes from a family of immigrants. Mm-hmm. So this is always going to be what's happening, and I predicted this perfectly. And I'll make it very short for you because I need to tell the story all over again, but imagine a scenario where 200 years ago, a guy has a farm and there's no neighbors, and over a period of time of decades, a small town builds up. All the dads come together and they say, let's build a baseball field together for our kids and so we can play baseball. They have grandkids, and those grandkids say, let's vote in favor of revitalizing Granddad's baseball park. We're going to put up a statue in his honor with his name on it. They vote yes. Then that guy has a grandkid, and the baseball field is in disrepair. And they say, town hall, I vote in favor of repairing the baseball field, their tax dollars. And they say, all in favor, and everyone claps and cheers and screams. And they go, all opposed. And a larger group boos and says nay. And that group are the Haitian migrants that were brought in by the Democrats and the Republicans because there's not enough people. Now, the tradition, the lifeblood, the legacy, the memory is voted against by newcomers who came here through temporary protected status or otherwise. That's the issue. Now, the question is, are the Haitian migrants wrong to vote against allocating funding for a baseball field? No, they're not. They say we should spend that money on an immigration welcome center. Too many Haitian migrants in this town don't speak English and don't know how to work or get jobs. So, is it wrong as in incorrect? No. Is it wrong as in immoral? I'd argue no. It is just not good for the people whose families built the place and want to sustain it. That a massive influx of people displaces them and then votes against their cultural interests. That is not a good thing because it leads to racial animosity, cultural animosity, and violence between peoples. So this argument, this Heritage Americans, if you actually want to understand it, is a fine argument. I would still argue that a crackpot leftist whose family's been here for 100 years is a bad person and Vivek is a good person. But I think it's important to point out that, to be honest, I'm not very interested in the political opinions of foreigners in America. I value an American communist's opinion more than an Indian migrant's opinion because they are Americans and we have a system where we debate and negotiate. That being said, I hope they lose. Their ideology is ridiculous. And if they're like Dinesh D'Souza, here, I'll put it like this. The ultimate conclusion of Vivek Ramaswamy's argument is a man born in China should be able to become president if he becomes naturalized. Because there's no such thing as a heritage American.
Yeah.
But the Constitution says otherwise.
Yeah. Well, what Vivek is doing here is really pernicious, and people need to watch out for this. Is the play that he is putting out here, what he's proposing, is he's using American as an adjective rather than a noun. Where every other nationality on planet Earth, it's used as a noun. He's using it as an adjective. And the reason he is doing this is because fundamentally he does not believe that anybody that has any lineage in this country is entitled to the country. What he is doing is he's dividing the world between Americans and future Americans because he views it as an adjective. And that's a really sinister thing that he's doing. That's why he's straw manning the argument. And also it's very convenient for someone named Vivek Ramaswamy to view it in this instance.
And do you think someone born in China, grew up there, they're 35, they moved to the United States, after a few years they get their citizenship, should they be allowed to be president?
No.
So there is a heritage American.
You got to be born in the country to be the president.
The Constitution says so, which means Vivek is not correct when he says Americans are all Americans.
Well, I think he's circumventing a problem that could happen in a future where people are like, how American are you? And you're like, second generation, they're like, that ain't American enough.
The Constitution already says this.
I know, but he's doing the moral argument about how to treat each other going forward as Americans. Like if your parents came here from India and you were born here and you're totally Americanized, you're basically as American as I am.
But that's the problem is we're using...
That's if again, using it as an adjective, as the way that Tate is mentioning it, you're an American in that someone handed you a card saying, congratulations, you are legally an American.
And so therefore
But the question about what makes someone an American, we have cultural traditions, we have heritage.
Yeah, driving on the right side of the road,
baseball and apple pie, Christmas
US dollars,
morning,
all those things. Yeah, jingle bells, all that stuff.
That's why this is what he's trying to like sell. What he's trying to pass off here is the idea of the propositional nation, and this is the problem. This is what the left has been proposing for the last 50 years, like post really 1960s when this idea of the propositional nation came about. So he's fundamentally using a leftist argument. Again, I'll say it is he's using American as an adjective, and that we're the only country on earth that is supposed to do that. It makes zero sense.
I got a question. You guys remember when Arnold Schwarzenegger became the governor of California back in the mid 2000s, something like that, and everybody wanted him to run for president, but he could not run for president because he was not a naturalized citizen, right? He emigrated here, and I guess he patriated to the United States. Now, I mean, can you think of anybody more American than Arnold Schwarzenegger, right? Up until like the COVID, pandemic and everything. But
what did he say? Fuck your freedom.
Yeah, fuck your freedom. Yeah, that was a real misstep. But like up until that point, he was an American success story. So is he more American than somebody who was like natural?
Here's a question for you.
Everybody wanted him to be president.
Here's a question for you.
Then.
Who would you rather have as president, Dinesh D'Souza or AOC?
it's when you're presented with that binary.
Dinesh
Susan.
That's a question. It's not rhetorical. I'm asking the question.
Yeah.
Dinesh D'Souza or AOC?
Dinesh D'Souza.
Dinesh.
Hands down. But guess what? He wasn't born here.
Right, but I guess the problem with
Are we sure AOC was?
well, the problem with Arnold is an exception to the norm. Like that's the issue here is like we can cite Arnold, but that's the reason is we have to dig to think of an actual example of someone that has moved to this country and then is exceptionally sort of, if we are to sort of step into the adjective framework, okay, he would be considered like someone that is, you know, very American, but he's an exception to the norm. And I don't think like when we're sort of, drawing up policy, we should build it on exceptions. I think the norm has been, certainly over the last 60 years, that people that have moved to this country just simply don't feel a deeper sense of rootedness to this country that heritage Americans do. And that's why that's a useful definition. And I mean, like I have like Mayflower descent, but I mean, I think Jack Posobiec has laid this out quite well because he obviously came a little bit later, but he's sort of sorted Americanness into these categories where then you have the antebellum people that arrived in the 19th century up until Ellis Island. These are people that had to earn skin in the game through these moments in American history. So like the American Civil War was great. All those people that came in the antebellum period then bought into the system. Same thing with the Ellis Islanders. The World Wars break out. They buy into the system. But even when like the Ellis Islanders came, like, you know, your Italians, the Irish, that they had a lot of problems assimilating the United States. It took about like 40, 50, it was a long time it took to process these people and fundamentally assimilate them. And so but the problem right now, among others, with the way immigration has broken down over the last 60 years, is it's the volume of immigrants because we've brought in so many that you can't assimilate people because they sort of fall into these ethnic enclaves. They're not actually interacting with Americans. And so it's been the volume fundamentally that's the issue. And that's why people like me and Phil have proposed net zero migration because that allows the America to sort of get the boot off of its neck, allow these people to properly assimilate before we even consider bringing in more people.
So knowing that, is that why you think someone like Vivek is planting the seeds of this sort of idea that like maybe like naturalized citizens should be able to run for president?
He's upholding the propositional nation.
There's one reason. The powers that be understand our system will buckle without new labor to sustain its economy. That's it. Republicans understand it the same as Democrats, but the right populist movement wants to preserve its cultural traditions more than it wants to preserve its economy. Because to a working class guy making $60,000 a year, he says, I don't care about your banking institutions. I don't care about your 401ks. He's like, I struggle to make ends meet as it is. I want to go toss a pigskin with my kid. And so when you go to him and say, but how about we bring in 50,000 Haitians to your town? He says, why do I want that? And they say, well, because we need the tax base for the roads, because we need the tax base to put up buildings and to fund wars and the troops. They're going to say no to that. But the machine state does not care. And so I'm not putting this all on Vivek. The obvious direction the Republican Party is going to go is going to be very much aligned with the left, where they're going to say all immigrants are welcome.
There will be a segment, I think, of the Republican Party that's going to say, that gets more, I don't know if racist is the right word, but more nationalist, more puritanical about like, if your blood isn't American, then you're not a real American. How long has your family been here? Like, and that's like Nazi Germany. And there will be a segment of people like that. But I think because the inevitability of homogenization, I don't think it can really
I think,
let me just, I'm going to say this right now because apparently it's being reported. Steve Bannon says Ben Shapiro was jealous of Charlie Kirk and will try to take over Turning Point. Ben Shapiro was like a cancer that spread, and that cancer spreads.
Gosh.
Wow.
Well, he called out Bannon too.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Now, I got a question. Sorry to interrupt, like kind of derail. Like I just saw this. Why would I want to be there and be involved in this?
To make it better?
So you mean like I should go up on stage and also accuse other people and say these things?
No, that would make it worse.
Be a disruptor.
So how am I going to make it better? Go up on stage and say, guys, please, can we hug?
Fuck shit up.
That would probably make
fuck shit up. That's
that would make it better probably if you did that.
I'd go there to do that.
Even if you were there for like 30 seconds and you went on stage and it was like, oh, holy shit, and the fireworks went off.
This is what I saw and felt when they said they weren't going to invite us. I said, I can see what's going on, and I'm not, it's not fun.
It doesn't.
There was something magical about it with this big vision that Charlie had. And whatever it is now is not fun.
I feel like Charlie, the Turning Point machine is like a heavy snowball, and it's like difficult to wield, and it's got so much momentum once it gets moving. But Charlie didn't seem to care. He was like, whatever, I'll juggle this like I juggle everything else. 100 million, okay, whatever. Let's have fun, guys. Like, he really wanted it. And I think maybe the bureaucrats at Turning Point, whoever's in charge of the bureaucracy, is more concerned about not messing up Charlie didn't have that
it just
state of mind.
illustrates the issue that what's happening right now is all these guys are getting up on stage and they're settling scores. I mean, that's what we're seeing here with Vivek is he clearly is really bothered by the discourse around Heritage Americans. People just simply saying, hey, can we have what everybody else has, which is like a sense of self-identity. Because like the problem with Vivek's argument fundamentally is that if we are to start denaturalizing people, which needs to happen, then you're going to have to ask the question, okay, well, who is indistinguishably American? That's the conversation that has to have. And if we set up what he is proposing, this propositional nation, it's going to be impossible to denaturalize anybody because he could denaturalize someone from Oregon who's an Antifa, but their people, their family's been in the country for 400 years. And that's what's so annoying is seeing guys like him get up when we should be focused. We're like getting hammered in the polls right now, approaching the midterms. And these guys like Vivek, like Shapiro, these sorts of people are getting up on stage and they're using it as an opportunity to settle scores.
Mark my words. If the Democrats win the presidency, they will pack the courts.
Yep.
They will end the filibuster overnight. There will be a lawsuit challenging the constitutional provision on citizenship, provision requiring citizenship for the presidency. The Democrat Supreme Court will rule it unconstitutional on its face. And this is not an amendment. This is actually in the Constitution that you have to be born here. And they're going to say, since the argument they'll make is this country has changed markedly in the past 250 years, with the 14th Amendment and the recognition that those who were born here are citizens, questions must be asked about the intention of the Constitution when it said you must be born here. Well, as many of these slaves who were born here were not citizens and only became citizens after the fact, but would be eligible to be president, the same rights must be afforded anyone who is granted legitimate citizenship, for there can be no second-class citizen.
Yep.
And to argue that someone who is legally granted citizenship cannot hold office would make them second-class in the eyes of the Constitution, which is unconstitutional, so here found by the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
And then you're going to get Xi Jinping. He's going to move to America. He's going to get his citizenship, and he's going to say, the interests of America are the interests of communist China. Vote for me. They will vote for him, and then you're going to have the interests of China and America.
People go to bed and then they wake up in 5 years, maybe. But people, I don't think anybody. I mean, there's a. Sorry, Tate. What were you going to say?
No, I was just saying. Well, I mean, the issue with this is why this is a battle that's worth having, because the problem is if you're using American as an adjective rather than a noun has a definition that cannot change. An adjective, the definition is in flux. It's depending on who's in power. Because if the Democrats are in power and it's unmitigated, unrivaled power, they can then sort of alter what the definition of American is, and they can say Zoran is exceptionally American because he believes in lifting everyone up, and Americans don't leave anyone behind. Therefore, we're going to abolish the 14th Amendment or alter the sort of definition of it, so that way Zoran Mamdani, because he's so American, can run for president. Because that's why this is such a horrible, horrible argument, because using American as an adjective, again, is just subject to whoever's in power and defining what Americanism is.
If he was using it as a noun only, wouldn't that just mean that everybody born here is an American? End of story?
That's the argument around heritage American is, okay, we need to define what is an American, because we had an ethnogenesis as a people that occurred following its founding. And so you can sort of tighten ranks a little bit and say, okay, just because someone was born here and they have paperwork doesn't mean they're an American. That's just someone that was born here.
I'm going to also add the idea that we started doing this, you're an Italian American. The fact that we had qualifiers so it was American already signified 100 and some odd years ago that people were not just Americans.
I asked people, are you a Jewish American or are you an American Jew? Because where's your loyalties lie?
Well, Teddy Roosevelt said hyphenated Americans.
Yeah. And what about the USS Liberty? I mean, come on.
I want to know more about those rockets coming out of those planes, wave after wave of attack on the Liberty.
To Tate's point, Teddy Roosevelt he did really make a great point. Like, if you're a hyphenated American, that means that you're in some way considering yourself something other than an American.
1 foot out the door.
Yeah, and that shouldn't be an acceptable state of affairs when you're dealing with people that are going to be deciding policy for the United States. Like, you should be an American.
Yeah.
And regardless of how you define heritage American or what have you, if you think of yourself as a hyphenated American, if you think of yourself as something other than an American, that should be, in my opinion, enough to disqualify you from holding office.
Yeah, I mean, because the reality is people have really deep connections to the places they're from, and it's really hard to break someone out of that. And I understand there's immigrants that have come to the country and they have completely left the old world behind and they truly feel 100% American. But those people are in the minority, because what's happening is, again, that's human nature. It's not necessarily a bad thing that you have a deep connection to your ancestral homeland. That's why you're seeing these Somalis that have come to Minnesota immediately game the system, scam the government out of a bunch of money, and send it back to Somalia because that's where they feel attachment to.
Okay, I have to jump to the story. Senator Mike Lee, would you like to seize cartel assets as a privateer? My bill would allow the president to issue a letter of marque.
Yes.
Time to take these pirates down.
Let's go.
No,
I'm
Mike.
in.
Mike, rephrase that post. Would you like to be a pirate? Yes, I would.
Yes.
Give me a boat and a gun, and I'm
yes.
storming those ships.
messaging I want.
I legitimately have friends that saw this, and there's a group chat that we have, and they're like, "Bro, these dudes. One of the dudes he was a Blackwater guy. He'd done private security and stuff, and he's like,
go.
yo, let's go.
We can finally put these Somalis to use. We can.
But why is he calling them the pirates, bro? When you're a privateer with a letter of marque, you are the pirate. That's the point. He should have said, "Would you like to be a pirate?"
Yeah.
Because now you literally can. And they should even give you a Jolly Roger to fly on your ship when they send you out with your letter of marque. Although no one really did that, but it'd be funny.
Can you imagine
create your own.
bunch of rednecks on pontoon boats with Jolly Rogers flying? Like,
Bro, could you imagine
airboats.
it's like 15 Appalachian dudes who like were working with a PMC, and they bring in this like massive tanker full of oil, and they're now worth $50 million. They're like, "We got them, boys."
Eric Prince saw that, and like I'm sure that he was just like, "Let's go," because he was talking about trying to get this off the ground recently. Like,
awesome.
Eric Prince, the guys in Blackwater, like those dudes that are still capable. Like, if they're like, "Man, we don't have an Iraq to go fight in. I had a great time. Let's go." And I'm not kidding. You can disagree and disapprove of this attitude, but there are dudes that have been to war that really want to go back.
Eric Prince was on. It was a Bronze Age Perverts podcast, and he talked about at length how the world is entering sort of this PMC era, and it's actually kind of just a return to tradition where you had privateers, where you had mercenaries, and these sorts of things. That's historically as colonial powers got things done. So we are heading into a world where if you're
You want to get all these kids out of their basements and
exactly.
stroking off the porn and the lost generation, man.
Exactly.
Give them
Bro.
a pirate's hat and go.
The total value of a full standard oil tanker on sea, $150 million.
That's generational wealth.
Bro, yeah, it's generation. Like, we need to make a movie about this. It's just like a handful of PMCs. Have you guys seen the movie? What is it? It's with Jason Statham, and he what is it called? Is it Working Man? Maybe.
I don't know.
He has a job as a security guard, and then the backstory is basically that he's a mob boss. He and his kid. He was staking out something for his
Working man.
team.
Yeah.
Working man, yeah. It's these PMCs who are broke, and they're like, "I missed the action," and so they stage a heist on armored vehicles to make money. You make a movie where it's these like half-retired PMCs who are like, the jobs are just drying up, and then they see the bill passed, letters of marque being issued to seize Venezuelan tankers.
I'm going to blow the plot, but it should be that they get a tanker that has some super high-tech thing on board that the American government wants, and then they issue letters of marque for them, and they're on the run from the other pirates.
okay,
You
let's
just
go-
gave
let's-
somebody $100 million blockbuster movie.
I disagree. I think it's a terrible movie idea.
No,
That's
that would
awful.
be great.
I think the movie's literally supposed to be they are pirates.
No, you
who
didn't listen
seize-
if you thought it was awful.
Because the point of the letter of marque is to seize oil that is valuable. If you want to make Captain America where he flies from a helicopter and then fights Bartok, do it.
No,
I'm saying
you need a problem in the
PMC
movie.
not a sci-fi drama where they're trying to find the golden eye.
You need
I'm
you need
talking
it
about
for
a
real.
military movie where guys steal oil.
But you need something bad to happen in the movie for it to be good.
But
yes,
Something horrible has to change.
It's got to be Pulp Fiction
in the middle of the movie.
Yeah,
Bro, it's just like I mentioned, like Working Men. A group of PMCs are down on their luck. They can't find work. They get a letter of marque, and the movie is about them taking down a Venezuelan oil tanker for $50 million.
It's just-
and then the movie ends with them cashing out and fist bumping.
It could be if it's an
great.
action movie. It could be good.
No, it's just free market Top Gun. It'd be great.
He's right.
it would be.
So, I would go see that
dude.
movie. I would go see that movie.
No, yeah, I mean, we're entering that era. I mean, that's just the reality. If you look around, all of these PMCs emerging, because you saw like in the 80s and 90s, you had people like Mark Thatcher, like Neil Ellis, who conducted these PMC activities in Africa, but it was at a very small scale. And then oftentimes, Western governments, the United States, France, the UK, would try to hamstring them as much as possible. Well, we're entering this new era where the Trump administration is really just taking the boot off of the neck of these guys who want to do these really cool, dramatic things in Africa. And then also, like a lot of these African nations hire these PMCs because they're like, hey, we kind of like Western democracy. I don't know if we want you guys to impose it, but maybe you can help us develop it on our own. And so they utilize these PMCs to bring like prosperity to these countries. And so I think we're actually entering like a really exciting era of the world. And look, this would be a massive, again, another boot lifting off the neck, so to speak, for these guys if they can just get like licenses to go and privateer in the
Yeah.
Caribbean. I mean, he's
Letters
so
of
sick.
mark.
Then the Chinese and the
I'm doing it
Russians
for
will
the
probably
crown.
start doing
Russians
Well,
already-
that's the thing is this is why America's behind the ball, because the Chinese and Russians have been doing this
Yeah.
for years. I mean, like Wagner Group, that's Wagner Group's main thing has been operating in Africa. And okay, they are associated with the Russians, at least in the Eastern European theater. But in Africa, the Wagner Group's basically just running loose. And they've pushed out like the French Foreign Legion, a lot of these British peacekeeping forces. They've just pushed them out because these dudes are just hungry.
So what happens if someone takes the letter, Mark, they go down to the Caribbean, they think they're doing good, they end up blowing up a civilian boat unintentionally. Are they considered like, hey, you're on your own now, you took the letter, if you mess up, you're dead and we're going to kill you?
Well, the
Yeah.
U.S. wouldn't do the killing, but the U.S. would likely allow the government that of
You-
the people that got
Venezuela.
killed.
And then would the U.S.
Ian,
government protect
Ian.
them if they got back to U.S.
Ian,
territory?
You don't actually need a letter of marque to storm and seize a Venezuelan ship.
Yeah.
Technically, that's true, of course.
Right. The letter of marque is protection within the United States.
Yeah.
Yes.
But if you go out and kill like innocent Venezuelans on the open sea, will they still protect you if you
I would
violate international
argue
law?
you're making an argument
the law.
about specific circumstances of international incident, which could vary in a million different ways. If you accidentally, like, let's say there's a privateer warship, and it fires on a tanker but misses and hits a small fishing vessel, there's going to be questions about whether it was a legitimate action sanctioned by the U.S. government, in which case they'll probably say you're fine. Now, if you're a PMC and you're like, we got a letter of marque, let's go kill civilians, they're going to lock you up.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we had an incident recently in the Congo where there was 2 Americans, and I think they had like a British buddy with them. And for a variety of reasons, the Congolese government, this is the DRC, so the big Congo, and for a variety of reasons, they sort of accused these guys of attempting a coup, which was crazy because there was like 3 of them and a few locals, and they executed the Americans. And I think, or the execution's pending. And as far as I can tell, the American government isn't really interested in intervening because they believe that the Congolese have like a valid reason to carry this out. So I think that's to say that I think the Americans, if this happened on foreign soil and they catch you, they just cut you loose.
Yep. I mean, it's,
Unless you make it back to Miami, then you're probably good. Because we don't have extradition treaty with Venezuela. Like there's no need for us to go to bat for them.
Yeah. So I mean, and look, there are PMCs in the U.S. Like I said, Eric Prince is I don't know what his company's called now, but they're very capable. They have the weaponry that it would be required to do this type of stuff. They have a lot of the dudes that get out of the special forces or get out of direct action teams. They're like, man, it wasn't worth staying in the military because you don't get paid enough. But when I get done, I mean, I'll make $250K a year to go and do private military contracting. It's big bucks.
We already see. I mean, a lot of these guys, they just also can't get the fighting sort of thing. They have trouble reintegrating. These guys that have seen heavy combat have trouble reintegrating into society. So what you're seeing is like in the French Foreign Legion, for example, which is just they're called legionnaires. I'm sure everybody's familiar with the French Foreign Legion. Is I believe the makeup of the French Foreign Legion is like 50% Slavic. It's like former Yugoslavian guys because these are dudes in the 90s and early 2000s who saw some like brutal combat. And then granted, the economies of their home countries were pretty bad. So not only did they have a tough time reintegrating into society because of what they saw, but they also had trouble finding jobs. So they just went and joined the French Foreign Legion because they were like, hey, that's at least going to give me a life beyond this. I'm having trouble reintegrating into society. So there's like a precedent set. Granted, I don't know in America if we have like a large enough volume of guys that have experienced that sort of thing. So you would have to incentivize them with like additional income and these sorts of things to really sweeten the deal.
I can just see the guys at Palantir just going, oh, yeah,
Oh,
here
yeah.
we go.
That'll be a contract. Absolutely,
Orbital strike.
Like
a sky cannon. They're going to be like using like COD weapons on these guys.
Yeah.
No joke.
They're going to pack a bunch of guns.
Yeah, I mean, it's the motivation is there. The PMCs have the capability, like I said, and also again, this is very lucrative because these guys can make a lot of money. I know a bunch of dudes that, back when it was Iraq and Blackwater and stuff, they were making 6 figures very easily, and 6 figures 15 years ago in Iraq is a lot of money. It's different than 6 figures nowadays,
Yeah.
It's
and the nice thing about the PMCs is that they actually are quite they tighten their ranks quite effectively. Not to again cite back to the French Foreign Legion, but one problem the French Foreign Legion had when they were operating in West Africa is they would recruit a lot of guys that were also from West Africa. So what happened is they would join the French Foreign Legion, get deployed back to their home countries, and they would just go and settle scores the entire time while they were there.
Yeah.
And they were like, well, we have impunity because we have the FFL backing us. So the nice thing about PMCs is the ranks are super tight, and they like only hire special forces guys like these. So it actually lets these countries that would be hiring PMCs to be rest assured that these guys aren't going to act up and like start settling scores left and right.
Yeah.
And that happens in Africa. Like their militaries, they like deploy their domestic military, and the guys just abandon the mission. You instantly start burning villages down and stuff.
Go get the guys that have pissed me off for the past
exactly.
50 years or whatever. So, but I do think that it's something that you will see in the future.
Oh yeah. No, we're heading into it, and it's a really exciting time. If you're like a young guy, you're looking for adventure, and you have that fighting spirit. I mean, there's an argument to be made that the U.S. military can't offer that for you anymore. So if there's like a private enterprise solution for that, where you can still get that experience in life, make some good money, and then actually have like missions and stories that are like cool.
Yeah,
and you could do that.
I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure what kind of training they offer, because most of the time they pick up dudes that have already.
Yeah, so you got to go to the probably enlisted or whatever.
I got a question though. You know, you ever notice that you'll see like a couple walking down the street and they dress like each other? Yeah. You know about this? It's like a known phenomenon. And it kind of makes sense, right? If you're a guy who dresses like some like, I don't know, long-haired freaky person, and with maybe wearing like some kind of weird orange jacket or something, and you sound goofy when you talk,
Has a crazy person with him.
And then when he's dating someone, he has someone who looks just like he does. But no, I mean, it's in all seriousness, and it's that people adopt an identity, a style, from their culture, from where they come from, things that make sense. There is a largely American identity, an American culture. The reason I bring this up is, you know, my wife and I are very, very, very similar. We grew up in almost the same place. We are both lapsed Catholic. We like the same music. It's probably why we got married. It's like we get along on all these things. We want the same things. We view the world very similarly. For these young guys now, the issue is they've not grown up with anybody. They don't have an external community where they build identity. They're watching weirdos on the internet who dress like, you know, anime waifus or something. So when they go and meet a woman in person, they're just, it's a repulsive force. They don't see the world the same way. They don't dress the same way. They don't find each other attractive. How are young guys going to accomplish anything if they're growing up this way?
They're deracinated. Yeah, I mean, that's like the perfect deployment of the word, because it's true. It's like, how do you get these guys who are fundamentally speaking? We were talking about the other day with music, how with Zoomers, men and women listen to completely different music. There's not any artists that have crossover appeal for both sexes, because Zoomer men and Zoomer women live in two completely different paradigms.
Worlds, yeah.
You'll see this phenomenon actually play out on Instagram. Is every once in a while I will get a reel that's like clearly targeted towards women, and then you'll see the comments, and then it'll be like a male on there. He's like, guys, I'm deep behind enemy lines. Like, I don't know what they're talking about. And it's true. It's like, it really illustrates to the point is like, we have a very tough time relating to the other sex, because it's just two completely different worlds. And at this part, I mean, you're seeing in South Korea the divergence politically. I think that's where we're heading towards, is where men and women, not only do they not speak the same language, they don't really have any cultural touch points to share, but they legitimately do not view the world the same way fundamentally. I don't know how you make a marriage work in that instance.
Well, I mean, Rollo can talk to this. The damage that feminism has done to society just overall, you know?
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's been like a separation between men and women for a long time. It's like the boys on one side of the playground, the girls on the other side of the playground. And we're just seeing that play out in different factions right now, or different contexts, I guess. Yeah. So whether it's music or it's political affiliation, I mean, you guys have talked about this, I don't know how many times, the divide between men and women politically right now. And I think her name was Helen Andrews.
Helen Andrews.
Yeah, I'm sure you probably, yeah. So you probably already have heard her, was it a TED Talk or something like that?
She wrote
where she was talking about how pretty much everything that we consider woke today is really part of the female psyche. So when women organize society, it's more in the round. It's more egalitarian. It's more because of the way, as human beings in hunter-gatherer tribes, women were the berry pickers and the gatherers, and men were the hunters, and they would go out. So when women organize societies, it's in a more egalitarian, communitarian way, because there's strength in numbers. They're the vulnerable sex. They are nurturing children. They're incubating babies. That's why women have that value. Men organize societies in hierarchies. So there's the admiral at the top and the general and all the down chain of command all the way down to the private, right? Or if we're talking about workplace, there's the CEO, the COO, the CFO, and on down to the janitor, right? So when men organize societies, it's based on hierarchies. And so, like for men, our hierarchies today are built around how you perform, like what are your achievements, what makes you respectable. And like I've been reading a lot of these stories lately about how we're going to teach these boys how to be respectful to women, right? Well, there's two different forms of respect. There's a hierarchical respect, which is what do you do that makes you respectable on that hierarchy, which is the way that men organize societies. And then there's everyone is deserving of respect, and you get some respect, and you get some respect, and you get some respect, and
Which
it's the
is close to a
participation
validation, right?
trophy, a version of respect where everybody sort of has this common thing, and that's more the female way of doing it. And so when people say we're going to teach boys to respect women, and it's like the boys are there going, what makes them respectable? Because that's their frame of reference, their natural frame of reference. So when we're talking about the divide about men and women coming together and having some things in common right now, I think one of the reasons why we're so separated in the sexes right now is because we fundamentally don't know how to organize like our own separate tribes right now. That's why you see more women gravitating towards liberal, wokesy, side of the political spectrum, and you see way more men coming over. And I don't think it's ever been as the contrast has never been as stark as it is right now.
So repeal the 19th?
God, I hate that question because like it's redundant to me at this point.
I don't want to repeal it.
I don't either because I don't think it's tenable, and I hate when people go, well, don't you think we should do that? If we just repealed the 19th or we took women's rights away, everything would change. I'm like, okay, first of all, how are you going to do that? That's like it's like we're going to have a revolution and anarchy. Okay, what's your plan on restructuring society after that? Right? Like if you want to go out and like fuck things up, okay, good, go do that. But what happens afterwards? What's your plan after that?
I think would be my pitch is a very simple solution. And actually, I was interviewing with Vivek Ramaswamy, and this is where the idea came from. It might be his idea. Require everybody to apply for selective service, and then you receive a voter ID. It's not a guarantee of solving the problem.
Get in the game.
But it's a large inhibitor because you go to Times Square and you'll see some like random, just like urban street guy. Maybe he's got a fanny pack with some dollar bills in it. And you'll be like, you want to vote? He'll be like, yeah, sure. And you'll be like, just sign up for the draft. He'll go, nah. And he's out.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and that's
every conservative will be like, yes.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's because to the point, like right-wing thought is inherently hierarchical. To your point, it was Helen Andrews, The Great Feminization in Compact Magazine. Like everyone has to read that if you want to fundamentally understand why things are getting very gay. It's very true. But right-wing thought is inherently, it's inherently hierarchical. But something really interesting you see with sort of the female-coded sort of ideology is that they simultaneously seek egalitarianism for egalitarianism's sake, but they also have a massive out-group preference. So what that looks like in practice is total egalitarianism, which is what they're pushing towards in the United States, in combination with mass migration. So you basically create these massive social programs. This is all across the West, massive social programs, but you also flood the country with people from like foreigners, so then they can take advantage of those programs that were intended to sort of level out society. And it's demonic. Because hierarchy, hierarchy truly understood, right-wing thought truly understood. The reason we have a hierarchy is we believe it was ordained by a divine. We believe it was ordained by a God, because otherwise, who set up that hierarchy? It has to be someone. It had to be something to set this in order. And that's why you're seeing things. That's why you're seeing the men gravitate towards right-wing thought. The women gravitate towards left-wing thought, is because, like Rollo talked about, it's just the psyche.
When we're looking at like natural like sexual dimorphism, like when men bear a greater risk going out and doing the hunting, going out and doing the fighting, going out and protecting the tribe.
I'm gonna do something I've only ever done one at a time. I'm gonna take a phone call right now.
Oh boy!
And I'll be back in a few minutes because there's like a scoop. Oh, shit. And we may want to have it on this show.
Okay.
And it has to do with something going on at AmFest.
Let's go.
And so I'm like,
can you give us a hint?
Maybe. I was actually thinking of just pressing call and going for it, but I don't know what it is just yet. Right. And I don't know if they want to actually come out and say it. So I'm going to go take this quick call. Give me a minute.
Sure.
But to Rollo, can you expand on that some more so that way people kind of understand? Because I think a lot of times people think that, there's a lot of edgy young guys, and so that's what kind of like repeal the 19th is, right? It's edgy young guys kind of making jokes and stuff. But I think that these topics are actually, and again, you'll clarify, but it's something that's very deep in who we are. You're talking about the hunter gatherer versus or hunting and versus gathering and taking care of the tribe. So why don't you expand on that?
Well, I tell you what's funny is I've heard this repeated by people recently who I have probably been listening to my show for a while, but whenever I talk about this, it's usually talking about how responsibility without authority is slavery, right? What we don't do is we don't talk about the reverse of that, which is, 100% authority without any responsibility is tyranny.
Yeah.
So when you look at those two things, that's the definition of slavery versus tyranny. And then I wrote about this in a couple of essays on my Substack, by the way, where I have sort of defined what the difference is between gynocentrism and androcentrism versus matriarchy and patriarchy, right? So right now, you'll hear everybody talking about how everything is gynocentric right now, where everything is, it's based on a female correct way of interpreting the human experience, right? Whether that's political, whether that's pop culture, whether that's religion, whether it doesn't matter what the context is, it's just the correct way to experience life is to experience it as a woman. And for men to do anything masculine at this point, and I mean this in the terms of conventionally masculine. I don't use the term traditional masculinity very often because lots of people have different traditions, right? Yeah. But from a conventionally masculine perspective, if you look at patriarchy is a far more balanced way of organizing society than gynocentrism or androcentrism, for that matter. Because what gynocentrism is and androcentrism is there are forms of tyranny, meaning that in androcentrism, let's say, for example, men have all the authority and 0% responsibility. And that's like in The Handmaid's Tale, like Gilead, where it's all the women are just forced into, pregnancies and stuff like that. And then we have gynocentrism, which is the reverse of that. And then you've got patriarchy, which puts power and authority in men's hands, but they still have responsibility to their families and their wives and their kids. But they are given the authority to affect those responsibilities. And that's where I think a lot of like traditional conservative thought really kind of fails right now, because until they can acknowledge the fact that if you want men to be more responsible and man up and take bootstraps, you want them to be more responsible, you're not going to solve the world's problems or solve the gender issues with just adding more and more responsibility on there and not giving these guys the authority to affect that responsibility in the first place. Yeah. Until traditional conservatives can accept that, then we're just going to keep having this conversation over and over and over again. All right, where are we at?
So that was Fresh.
Oh my God.
And he's like, this is crazy. Let me tell you what happened. Mm-hmm. And he was like, he's like, maybe we could do a video or something. And I was like, do you want me to just hold the phone to the microphone? You can explain what went down. And then he was like, man, let me send you a video and then play the video. So he's recording something right now. And he told me a little bit so far, but what he told me so far was that he was a VIP pass. Mm-hmm. He was a guest.
Really?
Yeah.
He's on Rumble. And he said he walked right in and went to the Rumble area or whatever and was just chilling. He didn't do anything. He was there for like 10 minutes when 6 cops showed up and surrounded him and said, you have to leave. And he was like, holy crap. So then he said, I was like, whoa, wait, hold on. I was like, do you want me to just hold the phone up? And he was like, well, let me send you a video. So if he sends us a video, and I don't know if it's going to sound good or not, but that's where we're at.
Okay.
All right.
Well,
my
I'm
money.
like, it's our last show of the year. I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. So maybe we'll just do it live.
My money is on his buddy smelled like pot. But they were
No.
like, what?
No.
I didn't smell it. What are you talking about?
My money is on somebody was like, Myron Gaines is an anti-Semite who posts happy merchants and stuff. Don't let him come in. And when Fresh showed up, they're like, that's one of the guys. Get him out of here. And they also barred Myron from getting in. And then I think Rumble probably was like, no. And I think someone probably higher up at Turning Point was like, guys, what are you doing? This is going to be a disaster for us. Let him back in. But I don't know for sure yet.
Let me tell you, on Twitter, man, they were Johnny on the spot with this too, because as soon as they saw Myron waiting by this escalator, like waiting to get in, like they were denying him entry to TPUSA. And I text Myron and I said, well, dude, they're saying that you can't get in. Like, what's going on? He's like, no, they're going to let us in. But then I go back to Twitter and they're like, they kicked him out and they won't let him in. And like, it just jumped to all these really quick conclusions as fast as they possibly could. And then like for Fresh, it was like, oh, it's because you hang out with Myron and Myron's an anti-Semite. And
I bet that's it.
It's association.
Bro, I'm telling you, next year, AmFest is going to be guys in suits saying Christianity. It's going to be CPAC.
Yeah.
Will James O'Keefe have another big party next year? Perhaps. But, man, I said this before, I'll say it again. I told Charlie this last year, bro, you have created the next South by Southwest.
Yeah.
Daily Wire had a cigar party. James O'Keefe had a party. We were talking about You know what's really, really sad? We were discussing having a Timcast party in Phoenix, Arizona for the end of the year, because for the past 3 years, our last show of the year was on stage with this massive audience. Ian falls off the stage the first year. It was crazy. And not anymore. Not anymore. So what would have been more and more pop-ups surrounding the event and creating this massive festival, I think is likely just going to start shrinking and kicking people out. And then it will just be CPAC.
I have a
Do you go
question.
to CPAC? I don't.
I have a question. So are they still, I don't know if they're still doing this, but TPUSA, I think that they did this last year. They have the Women's Ministry Day where it's just nothing but the girls talking. Are they doing that at this one? Because at the last one, they had Nala Ray on there. I'm just like wondering who the reformed porn star is going to be as a guest speaker for this one.
I guess you can only be so cool if you're not into the arts. Without the arts, it's hard to actually be cool. Seems like it's a very political spectacle.
Well, I mean, again, like it will be such a loss if this turns into the right trying to exclude people because they, don't like an opinion that they have. That's exactly what crushed the left. That's why people hate the left now. That's why the Democrat Party has such a low approval rating. They took people that were considered cool, like Joe Rogan, and because he was, just a normal guy that was completely comfortable voting Democrat, then they ran him out. And then they say, well, why don't we have any guys? Well, it's because you got rid of them all. And to the point that you were making, the amount of influence by the feminist kind of the feminist intersectionals in the Democrat Party by trying to make sure that that nobody steps on anyone's toes, that nobody says anything that someone else doesn't like. They've managed to run out basically all of the young men. They've been telling young men, you're evil, you're the problem in America, and there isn't anybody that's actually hitting the brakes in the Democrat Party. Right? Well, maybe there are people that are considered Democrats or what have you, or Democrat mouthpieces in the commenter space, but nobody in political office.
I was going to say I would think that the people of the TPUSA would be welcoming Myron Gaines with open arms there, because what was it? Kamala Harris in her latest book, her biography or whatever it was on the election, mentions by name the reason why she lost the election was Andrew Tate and Myron Gaines.
Yeah, but why
by
Myron Gaines?
Names? But okay. So when Mike was here, my partner Mike Sartain on Access Vegas, he was saying the same thing. He said this was the election of the podcasters. This was the election. The reason why the left hates the red pill so much is because it convinces black voters to vote for Trump. That's why. And sure as shit, that's what happened with Kamala. She even admits it in the book. So I think that's pretty much proof positive right there. But it was speaking to a demographic of young men who otherwise felt unheard, and that's where they would gravitate towards. I mean, I can remember as far back as 2016 when people in the church were coming and saying, "Where are all the men in the church?" Yeah. Well, they're in the manosphere. They're here. They're right here. They're talking to me. They're talking to everyone else in the manosphere at this point. And that's Joe Rogan wasn't even a factor back then. And the fact that they would even use Joe Rogan or Theo Vaughn or Jordan Peterson as sort of examples of like guys who were like sort of in the manosphere, who would if going on, Rogan openly hates the red pill, openly hates the manosphere. Even Jordan Peterson, despises the manosphere. But they're using them because they're just the most obvious, household names that they can find. But there's a lot more people out there than just. I mean, if you think the red pill begins and ends with Andrew Tate, I got news for you.
Yeah.
So apparently there's something crazy happening, and I don't know exactly just why. But one of the...
Please tell me it wasn't a shooting.
No. Some people are claiming it's because he's black, which is silly. This is absolutely ridiculous. However, it may have something to do with defending Candace Owens. That's the rumor that's going around. I don't know for sure. It's not confirmed.
She's been on a show a few times.
But I was saying I think it's... I don't know if I would argue my first assumption is that it's related to Candace. I assume it's that they want to excise that segment of the right that has been embracing this. I mean, Nick Fuentes getting called up by Ben Shapiro, Candace.
Then why invite them as VIPs?
I think it's a big organization
Just
with a lot of employees. No, because they didn't know. They didn't know.
Oh, bureaucracy.
we've we've had instances where we've done shows and then someone shows up and one guy working the door doesn't know this guy's not allowed in or something, and it happens. And then they had to walk it back because it was making them look really bad. I think Amfest is, like I already said this, I think it's going to turn into CPAC. I don't go to CPAC. I don't care about CPAC. It's meaningless to me. Amfest was crazy. It was fun.
Yeah.
So.
Actually, the quartering is in the chat right now saying he literally just talked to him. He's totally fine. Like, we talked at Amfest at 3 p.m. He's totally fine. He was not banned. We talked at Amfest Thursday and Friday, which, I mean, that lines up with kind of the story. He was let back in. I don't know if he told.
There is, the question is, why was he initially removed? And there's no real reason just yet. There's some rumors circulating. Obviously, one, because he's black is stupid. That's like a made-up joke, I guess. Because come on, that can't get someone for being black. But some people are speculating that it's his involvement with Candace Owens and his support of her or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, that to me makes the most sense.
I think it's because the Fresh and Fit podcast. Who was it? There was they got called out because every time someone mentioned something Jewish, they'd play a cash register noise. Like, that's probably why.
Yeah.
But they gave him VIP tickets. Come on,
VIP
guys. Who's
VIP
doing
tickets
this?
It's a big organization with a lot of people, bro.
Yeah, and the VIP tickets might be because of the Rumble affiliation.
Yep.
There's someone
That's
at Rumble,
true.
Someone at Rumble's like, hey, make sure these guys get in. And someone's like, oh yeah, fine.
Yeah,
gives
yeah.
them the VIP.
Rumble
and
gets a
then,
blanket of passes to hand out, and then
and I mean that's just speculation. I
but they
certainly
called the
don't know.
police, the actual police. To,
Yeah.
It's not like the
Apparently, like,
security
6
that's
cops.
on
that's
the thing.
really
It's police.
extreme. That's why I thought pot. But even that, you wouldn't call 6 cops.
In Florida?
Fresh don't smoke pot.
I don't know. He was there with a couple dudes. One dude had
They
dreadlocks.
do.
Not that means he smokes pot.
Yeah, I mean
Maybe he doesn't mind. What? Oh, sorry. You were saying?
No, I mean I think it's silly, and I think that it's a problem for the right. The Republicans are in or at least the right is in a position to have significant influence on the culture and not just on the culture but also on policy. And if you can't settle these kind of disagreements without starting to excommunicate people and saying you're not allowed here, you're going to turn a bunch of voters off. Right? If there's young guys out there that are like, oh, I like Andrew Tate or I like Nick Fuentes, they make me laugh. I don't agree with all the stuff they say, but it's funny and I like them. And then they hear that these people are not welcome. They're going to say, well, that means that I'm not.
Right. But just name for me one conservative that speaks masculinity to young men.
Nobody.
Conservative.
George Santos.
Who does Turning Point and the Republican Party have that is inspiring young men to be stronger, faster, better? Who?
Nobody.
I'm drawing a blank. I want to say Nick Freitas, but I don't know if he's associated.
Yeah, but
Bobby Kennedy.
He's not
I don't necessarily agree with him, but
Bobby's
I
not
think
conservative.
he would be one that they would get as like the poster boy for something.
Freitas is great.
point
He needs a
is,
louder megaphone.
You've got Andrew Tate. He's telling young men, be strong, be powerful, take shit over. You're the boss.
Make money, get girls. I'm
Yep.
with that guy. Yeah.
And these young guys are like, I want to be powerful, successful. I want to be a fighter. These are the things that men are driven to want. And the right offers up nobody.
Well, I think Donald Trump exemplifies those things without saying it explicitly.
No,
and that's why
bro.
that's why people are drawn to Donald Trump because
No, come on. He's
Dude.
morbidly obese.
because it's like it's more than just
Well, no,
aesthetics.
that's not fair. He did lose a lot of weight.
Well,
but he's
I'm
an
saying-
overweight guy who doesn't exercise because he thinks his body's a battery.
Yeah,
that
but-
you burn energy off, you find that energy.
But people view these things beyond aesthetics. They view things as like actually accumulating power, accumulating wealth, accumulating influence. And Donald Trump that's why he's so popular with young men. That's why he was like
He gets some of that for sure.
I can tell you exactly why conservatism has a problem with really getting to that appeal, having that spokesperson that is not an Andrew Tate. It's because you end up at the same place that feminism comes around. And I get this all the time because people want to tell me that the red pill is just the flip side of feminism. It's just feminism for men. I'm like, no, actually, that's traditional conservatism because it winds up in the same place. It is man up, get a job, get out of your, everything that Andrew Tate says, like go do all this great stuff, but then take it all, go get married, have kids, and do whatever your wife says. And if you look at the guys who are sort of emblematic of like the stand-up guy, the traditional conservative husband and, father, which, Charlie Kirk ostensibly was at that time, he's still serving a female end at the end of all of that. So the purpose of becoming a better guy is not to intrinsically do it for yourself, to be, to build yourself up to be a better man just because that's what you want to be. It's be a better man because women really need better men. So please, we need to solve women's problems by you becoming a better man, right? Which is exactly the same result or the same end point that you end up with when it comes to feminism, which is do all this stuff. We still want men to man down, but we want them to man up when we need them to man up because it's all for our own benefit. So when the red pill comes in, and we kind of exist in this kind of like in between, it's really weird in between area between those two. People think that we're intrinsically misogynist or whatever it is. All we're doing is we're just offering information and education so that you can protect yourself and make better decisions for yourself to say, this is what I want, this is not what I want. It's not about trying to be an ideology or a philosophy or a cult or a religion or a set of practices or anything. All fundamentally at its core, the red pill is just about educating people and putting that data out there. The problem that everybody has is that when you give people facts, you have to tell them how to feel about it. You can't give them facts without telling them how to feel about it, because if you don't, they will hate you for that, or they will infer that the reason you're telling me this data and these facts right now is because you want me to believe a certain thing. Or are you on my team or are you on their team? And that's really what they're trying to suss out the whole time when you're just throwing out facts and figures right there and allowing them to make their own decisions based on what those are, what works best for you.
Tate and I were talking about this a little bit today. Like at the end of the day, even people on the right that think that they analyze things and they make the decision that's best based on thought and logic and reason and stuff, you're still, as a human being, you're still making an emotional decision. Right. This is because it's what you think will provide you with the best emotional outcomes. Right.
Everybody has game. Okay. Everyone has game. How effective that game is really what a lot of people, you go and you ask a 10-year-old kid, like, how do you go and get a girlfriend, Johnny? That kid probably has a pretty well thought out way to go. You be your friend and you do this and you do that. He probably figured out how effective that is different. Now, if you take that and you extrapolate that into like ideology and you add religion or political stripe, or what are you going to do for a living? Those kinds of questions right there. It really comes down to what are best practices. So when people come at me and they say, well, Rollo, it's all these black pill doomers, it's MGTOW, men going their own way, or it's the white pill, it's the black pill, it's this pill, that's that pill, whatever. Those are practices. Those are people who've taken that data and go, you know what, given the information I have right now, the best thing to do is just not play the game. The juice isn't worth the squeeze, and that's a practice. Yeah. That's not the red pill. You've just taken the data from the red pill to extrapolate from that what you think you ought to do. That's why you got looks maxers like clavicular right now, just goes to the nth degree to make himself look like, like a mannequin, yeah. But that's what he thinks is the best practice.
Well, he's wrong. But it works where he is. It works where he is.
I'm not a fan, but I understand how he gets there.
I don't think a lot of young Gen Z guys have any game.
Oh, no. But they think they do. But the thing is how effective is that game? They'll throw it out there, get rejected, and then they'll have to go back and rethink it again.
Clavicular, he's kind of the natural conclusion of the black pill, in which you just sort of accept that
he's the
everything reduces.
He's the logical extreme.
Yeah, right.
Where
it's just like he realizes that everything is reduced down to aesthetics, or at least that's the presupposition he accepts. And so therefore, if you maximize your looks, and you'll achieve whatever you want in life, because that's just applying a reading to women or to life in general, that again, everything just reduces down to like mathematical formulas.
Whenever I see clavicular, it's like I can just sort of see the chubby kid underneath the mask. I could just go, because his look is not congruent with how he speaks and how he presents and how he telegraphs his game, I guess, for lack of a better term, but how he projects his personality. He's kind of like the fat kid who lost a lot of weight and still thinks he's a fat kid.
Yeah,
and he hasn't quite come to grips with the fact that he's not that guy anymore.
Yeah, and so he's still operating, like his social skills are still operating from the perspective of, I'm a fat kid and these girls are going to reject me anyways, but they're not. They're actually giving him the time of day and he doesn't know what to do about it.
I was thinking about the normally 30, 40 years ago before the internet, someone's blackpilled, they're kind of like, and they complain a lot, they just don't have friends. And then they get isolated, people don't want to be around them, and then they go away. And maybe you never see them again. But now with internet video, they can make videos and get a following.
Yep.
And
Microcults.
spread the nihilism. It's fucking crazy that apathetic, sloth-like sin of a state of mind could possibly infect other people through this technology. Is crazy. That's so dangerous too. It needs to be addressed, like on the because like free speech, I can't tell you to stop. And when if you're getting money for doing it, because all it takes is ad revenue based on how many people also want to die.
I'm going to tell you this right now is I agree with you 100%. I also think that a lot of the stereotypes and a lot of the the caricatures of these guys ends up getting a lot overblown, or the things that are sort of attributed to the red pill are overblown because we have so many damn bots these days. We have so much, like the best thing I was just going to say is the best thing that Elon Musk ever did with Twitter is give you the ability to figure out the country of origin of that profile
and banning bots.
Oh my God! Yeah, I'm banning bots too. But going to those bot farms in Pakistan, in India, in Nigeria, South and East Asia is one of them as well. And there's so many of these. They're engagement farms is what they're doing. It's because Elon, you can get paid on Twitter for your engagement and stuff. So what do? They go and they just find the most aggravating, most agitprop questions that they can find. And usually those are the ones like, can you believe this woman did this? Do you think this woman would last 10 seconds in this country or something like that?
So it's like nihilism bots have been unleashed on
more or less.
Bros.
Yeah, but that's what gets engagement.
Oh my God, I'm an idiot.
It don't surprise me. Tim's getting a little formatting set up
My
there.
phone was pressing on the keyboard, and I'm like, why aren't the buttons working? I was like, what's happening?
So you think the nihilism bots are contributing to the black pill?
I think that the incentive for them is just basically money, right? I mean, what's going to get the most eyes on the screen? What's going to cause the most indignation? It's going to be open-ended questions, and it's usually going to be like something that reinforces a pre-existing belief, and particularly about women. And so, go ahead.
No, I'm going to change subjects. So you're good?
Yeah.
I want to jump to this clip. We got this from Turning Point. Timcast News posted it, of course. Steve Bannon unloads on Ben Shapiro. Ben Shapiro calling him a lifelong never-Trumper.
Now, Benji Shapiro sat up here last night, and he was all, it's all about the truth. Ben, I've known you a long time, brother. You can't handle the truth. Let's face it, Ben Shapiro is the farthest thing from MAGA. Let's be blunt.
Wow. And
he is a hardcore never-Trumper. He's a hardcore never-Trumper. In the spring of 16, he tried to upend Breitbart. He walked off the job, made a big deal about some incident in Mar-a-Lago with Corey Lewandowski. He tried to turn it to Ted Cruz from Donald Trump because he hated Donald Trump. In the general election, he barely supported Donald Trump. The first sign of when President Trump gets sent back to Mar-a-Lago, the very first individual that jumped on the Ron DeSantis train, the Israel First train, was Ben Shapiro. And those are the darkest days we had. In 21 and 22, you guys were there. He's consistently been against Trump, and now that President Trump doesn't back the Greater Israel Project. What is Greater Israel? It's not about Israel itself. It's about an expansionist Israel, an imperial Israel that Netanyahu and that crowd have thought up. And the Israel First crowd is Ben Shapiro, Tel Aviv Mark Levin, and many others that want to put that ahead of America's interests.
Man, it's like a primary. It feels like Republican primary energy.
Yeah, they're fighting for who's in control.
Yeah.
And it's Israel. No. I mean, the argument they're making is pro or anti-Israel. I don't care at all.
It's the new conservative wedge,
bro. If I'm going to sit down and have a debate with someone and they're like, "Let's discuss Israel," I'm going to say, "I don't care."
Yeah.
Like right now, there's this plan. We didn't get into the story about how they want to turn Gaza. What was this tweet?
Yeah, I saw
into
that.
a high-tech, Mara Gaza or whatever. And in that context, I have no problem talking about it to news like everything else. But if they're just having this literal debate about the merits of Israel, I'm just like, this is boring me.
Yeah,
I would much rather Ian explain to me his latest bread recipe. That intrigues me.
Sourdough.
Do you have a starter?
Not yet.
See, that's the
No,
question.
Chris
Like a
has one
mother
here. I
dough.
want to use it. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
You need a mother load.
You gotta, if you, like, would you make a new mother dough and then pass it down to?
Yeah,
like,
you keep it in the
it's
cupboard.
infinitely more interesting than debating Israel. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I knew a girl. It's a 4th generation mother dough. So her great grandmother put it together.
For real?
Yep. And this is infinitesimally more fascinating than an Israel debate.
Yeah,
I can
so
go
it's
into
in all
I'm
seriousness,
already involved.
the point is this: I don't mind having a debate over I don't mind discussing Israel's interests, lobbying, and all those things. It's just that it's every fucking second for these people. It's like,
you turn this on, and he was like, the thing is something about he didn't like Trump. He likes him less than him. Trump. He does like Trump. He doesn't like Trump. And I'm like, it's like a video game in my repertoire of 1,000 games that is real annoying that I don't want to play right now. Talking about Trump. I know
and
U.S.
Israel.
president, politics, it's a big part of the world, but dear God, it is not the way to solve the problem. This is
I completely agree. He's not getting up on stage and saying tax policy has gone crazy, border security, Venezuela. He's saying Ben Shapiro, I don't like. And I'm looking at this like Ben Shapiro comes out and says Candace Owens, Tucker, Bannon, they're all bad. Did he call it Megyn Kelly too? I think he did, right?
I don't know.
I didn't see him.
And then they come out and they make fun of him. And I'm like, is this what? Listen, there's a lot of people at Turning Point that are like, I got no beef with Ben or Bannon. Jack is a good dude. He's a great friend. So I got no beef with the people at Turning Point. But guys, there's literally no organization here.
You know what they would do?
There was no one going, guys, whatever you do, we do not want you to go up on stage and just rag on each other. Send a positive message on what you believe and leave the drama outside because it's not what Turning Point's about. No, instead, it's like, it's WWE.
Yeah.
You guys.
Yeah.
This is what they should do.
They want me, like, listen, okay, I'm sorry, Ian, but
no.
they first don't invite us, and then I say they're not inviting us. Then they try to invite us, but you really want me to sit there just listening to Bannon rag on Ben rag on Bannon, Tucker then go, he's so pompous. Guys, with respect to each and every one of you, because I got no beef, I literally don't care. Why would I want to go and stand in an audience and listen to a speech by Bannon about Ben Shapiro? I don't care. It's just absolutely insane. You know what my view of the infighting is? Boring.
What I want to see is Ben Shapiro on stage tomorrow, getting on, and then all of a sudden the mic drops, the fucking fireworks go off, and Bannon walks on stage like it is WWE, and everyone's like, whoa! And then they debate.
He's got to do the strut like
Yeah.
Vince McMahon.
He needs a theme song.
And then they go at a pre-planned debate for them. They've had pre-planned that they're going to do the debate.
But wait. Then as Ben starts going like this, and Bannon's walking up, you see Tucker jump out with his chairs. Boom!
Yeah. We need this. We need to
That would
reinvigorate
be
the
interesting.
base. Make it fun.
Okay, I would totally come for that.
Yeah, I would do
if
that.
it was actually like
It's
WWE.
funny,
do it.
it's funny you guys compare all this to like professional wrestling because it's like a lot of the times when I see this kind of infighting happening, now this happens in the sphere all the time. It happens politically, whatever the niche happens to be. But these guys, I'm meant to ask you this, Tim, is do you think that these guys are doing this and they're agitating like this? Like you could tell them, hey guys, go up there, be nice, have it, we need to form unity.
There's no boss.
There's no boss, right?
Yeah.
But do you think that even if they did that, would they still do it? Because those guys are there
Nope.
to appeal to their audience,
Nope.
to appeal to the people who are out there. Because if you don't go up on there and you don't talk shit about Ben Shapiro, your audience is going to make you pay for how he
I
didn't
disagree.
say he had this
Nope.
golden opportunity to run Shapiro
If
into the
Charlie
ground.
if Charlie was still alive, this would not happen.
Oh yeah, that wouldn't happen then.
He'd
but-
say, guys,
but now,
please
yeah.
don't go on my stage and have a drama fest. We are talking about the future of this country. There's no one doing that. So why are they allowing this stupidity? But I don't agree with the audience thing. I do understand what you're saying, and it is true to a certain extent. But if Ben went up there and said, with all due respect to Ben Shapiro, I don't. If all he did was say, guys, I want to talk to you about the future of this country, the midterm elections, but I will address what Ben Shapiro said. If he simply said, I don't appreciate the stage drama at an event like this, we're talking about the future of this country, and in memory of Charlie Kirk, it shouldn't be this way. So Ben, please, let's keep it respectful. Okay, moving on. People would have been like, right. Then they would have been like, our guy's
then
better
he
than
made the hit though. But then he had at least addressed the gorilla in the
exactly.
room. Yeah.
While saying let's not stoop to that level and not actually insulting Ben, just saying let's keep it civil and try and focus on what we can win together.
Sure.
Instead, this is turning into just more partisan bickering where the right is now two different factions.
Yeah.
You know, Cenk Uygur talks about. He's like, can we just come together with some Republicans on the issues we want to get done and get them done? Because if the left and the right agree that healthcare is too expensive, can we just forget everything else? Forget the trans kid stuff, the tax policy, whatever. Let's just look at the healthcare thing, right? Let's look at the roads. Let's look at the border. Whatever it is that we agree on, let's just do and then argue later. I like that idea. that's kind of what the MAGA coalition was. A lot of people disagree on all these things. There's moderate, I don't think abortion should be completely banned, to the we should ban it completely, but we're going to work together because the left is so insane. Now, you know what I think it is? As the tide recedes, the scum is exposed. What I mean by that is not to insult anybody who's saying this, but there's no woke beast. The Kraken has been slain, and now you got a pirate ship and you got Her Majesty's vessel, and they were fighting when a Kraken emerged, and they said, "Oh, aim your cannons at the Kraken." The Kraken is dead. Now they're looking at each other and going, "Fuck you," and they're fighting again.
Yep.
I don't care. You know what I mean? Like I don't need to be there.
I brought out kaiju. You bring out Kraken.
Kraken. Let's just call it a kaiju.
Getting very mystical on the show. Yeah.
What is the kaiju, by the way?
Getting very
It's a
esoteric.
monster.
Pacific Rim.
Godzilla.
It's a gigantic monster.
Oh, okay.
It's not just Godzilla, Rodan.
Gamera.
So they're all
Gamera,
types
yes,
of
right?
kaiju. The kaiju is like
Mothra, right?
Mothra, yes.
Oh.
Any gigantic Japanese monster.
Watch Pacific Rim.
Mecha Godzilla, bro.
Ultraman.
Somehow Godzilla got cyborg parts.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
What was the story behind Mecha Godzilla?
I have no
They're
idea.
like, let's make him a robot.
That was a long time ago.
Yeah, and then you had that show where what was that show where the guy would like turn into a gigantic dude and fight kaiju? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, oh, that's Ultraman.
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 Yeah,
Oh,
easy,
God,
easy.
man.
Ultraman.
God, now I'm dating myself. Yeah, damn, dude, Ultraman was great.
All right, everybody, want to go to your Rumble rants and super chats, so smash the like button, share the show with everyone you know. Shout out to Poker Go Studios, man.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
It is an honor and a privilege to be here. I'm a big poker guy. I'm a huge fan. It's cool. They let us take their poker table for the week, and it means a lot to me. It's really amazing. You guys are the best, and shout out to all you guys in the crew. Let's grab some Rumble rants and some super chats. Let's start with. It looks like they actually got the Rumble rants disappeared.
Ruh-roh.
Yeah, ruh-roh. Okay, well, Bond says, Tim, how did you like having Graham on the show? We had Graham Allen and Mike Matisow, and it was a really great conversation.
That was super fun.
Really good, yeah.
Both those guys are awesome.
The quartering, we already, Phil already read this one, but he says he talked to Myron, he's totally fine, he wasn't banned. The point is, to Jeremy, is that Myron hit me up and said there's more to the story, he'll have more later, and then I looked up the rumors, and so we'll see, we don't know. But it looks like a bunch of the Rumble rants are gone. I can't fathom why that would be. Oh, well.
Real busy at Rumble today.
Nothing doing. We'll jump to our super chats, for which I think we have a plethora. See, that's the problem. I can't say plethora.
Plethora?
Is plethora too big a word?
Plethora. It's like that. Plethora.
What?
I say we got big lots.
Plethora.
Yeah.
Big lots?
Big lots.
I like
Yeah.
plethora.
lots.
You
See,
say it
it's
in the
my
mirror.
vocabulary is too good of talking.
Bunches
you know?
and bunches.
I gotta take
Try
it.
saying blepharoplasty. Isn't that what's it's like
Breath?
when you get your eyes done, like
I
cosmetic surgery? So
Just be
blepharoplasty?
old. You know, I hate plastic surgery. We're in Vegas and
hard
it's
to say.
everywhere. Just be old.
Yeah, so
You know, I
splash water in your face throughout the day.
you know. I saw a guy who had really bad hair transplants. But no, actually, it wasn't really bad ones. It looked like he had gotten them a long time ago, but his hair your hair still falls out. So now he had male pattern baldness with weird hair plant, and I'm just like, guy, just put on a beanie and just roll
Thank
with it.
you.
You know what I mean? That's all you got to do.
It's pragmatism.
Dude, have you been using the infrared hat? Oh, I want to use it.
We got from Jonathan
I saw
Otto.
those, yeah.
The red light thing.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of funny because I looked it all up and it's all real. It all works. And I was like, oh, that's true.
wild.
It feels like hippy dippy bullshit, but I always thought it was BS until I learned of blue light therapy for babies.
Yep.
And that it's real.
Wait, what is that?
So if babies are jaundiced, I think I'm going to get this wrong, but it's like they have too much bilirubin in their blood. The blue light, the wavelength of the light itself breaks it down.
Oh.
And so if their livers aren't strong enough to get it out of their system, the blue light breaks it down, and then their body takes care of the rest. So they literally put a blindfold on the baby and sit it under a blue light for like 5 hours.
Wow.
And then I'm like, really? Just a blue light? Just a blue light?
all
And then I'm like, so the red light stuff is real? And they're like, yes. The doctors told me that. And I'm like, what? I looked it up, and I'm like, red lighting your balls does boost testosterone. It actually, the studies say that they found an increase in testosterone when men started putting red light on their balls. Something to do with the sun, I guess. You wake up in the morning.
Figured that out.
Yeah, so many, man.
You know what it is? Humans would wake up crack of dawn with the red light beaming on them, and they'd be standing proud with their junk right up in there, and it would cook.
Yeah, there was
pump out testosterone.
There was
good.
that guy,
Felt really
Soul
good.
Bra, and he kept tweeting like, "You need to start sunning your balls." And then one guy, he replied in like the back of a police cruiser. He's like, "Don't do this in an apartment complex."
All right, what do we got here? Mike says, Tim, I am creating a new political party called Both Parties Suck Party. There's so many third parties that try to do something, you know? That's
Isn't Elon going to do a third party?
Yeah, like
the
every
American Party, but now he's funding Republicans.
guys. What if both parties are the problem? It's
What's
like,
the-
wow, no way.
so small. The screen is too far away.
Yeah, I mean, look.
Okay, we got X Radico says, I implore everyone donate to Tim's security. The Irish are after him and his spoons.
The Irish.
It's true. I need all of your money.
An Irish in
An
particular.
Irishman. There is an Irishman who has before stolen my spoons. I need your help. Go to timcast.com and click join us and get into the Discord server. And that will help us make sure the Irishman never takes another spoon again. We had Seamus and I wrote a really great bit for Cast Castle that we never made. And it was that, this is a true story. I was sitting on the couch in the castle. It's called the Great Room when you first walk in. It's like a big room, the kitchen, the living room. And I was watching Leprechaun. I don't remember which one. And it was the scene where the guy had gotten bitten by the leprechaun and started turning into one. So he's at a restaurant and he orders hash browns, French fries, mashed potatoes, baked potato, tater tots, just a plate of potatoes. Which is funny because just because the Irish starved to death with no potatoes doesn't mean they love potatoes. But so then Seamus walks in and he's like, hey buddy, what are you watching? And then he looks up at the screen and he goes, this is the most racist thing I've ever seen. And I started busting out laughing because it's like, it's true. He's like, I was bitten by a leprechaun and now I have to eat potatoes. So we wrote this bit where the bit was going to be that exact scene, scenario. And then I tell Seamus, chill out, it's leprechaun, stop being your panties in a bunch. And then the next, transition scene was our receptionist goes, Tim, there's a bunch of people outside. I'm like, who are they? And she goes, the potato people. I'm like, what? She's like, they're like Irish. Wait, stop. You can't call them the potato people. And then she goes, no, they're from the organization Potato. And I was like, what? And there's a bunch of Irish protesters outside picketing, holding up signs saying potato, which stands for People Organizing Together Against True Oppression. And they were arguing that the Irish are the true oppressed people,
Yeah.
and that white privilege oppresses them. We wrote this whole thing out. We never made it. I wish we did. It would have been a lot of fun.
Was it Leprechaun 3? Were they in Vegas?
I don't remember.
I'm trying to
A
find
guy
it.
gets bit by the leprechaun and then starts turning into one. Because apparently that's... Dude, those movies are amazing.
Yeah.
They were like, let's make it like werewolves or vampires. You know, like he gets bit by the leprechaun and turns into one. That's how you make more leprechauns.
That was how Jennifer Aniston got her. Oh, the movie you're thinking of is Leprechaun 4 in space.
Ooh.
This is the only
Sounds about right.
the only
And
film
you
in the
guys
franchise
laughed
where
at Sharknado.
Bro, that was Warwick Davis, right?
Yep.
Legend.
this is,
Patriot.
Legend.
Leprechaun in Space, I could go on, is the only film in the franchise where a human to leprechaun transformation happens.
Quantum Strange Cork says, Tim, I understand your situation, but I truly hope this isn't the last IRL. Praying for you all. Well, the good news is we're working with Rumble, and so the next show will be January 5th. It is going to happen. What we end up working out in that January, we have basically 3 weeks to sort out getting this machine churning. Because for security reasons, we're not going to go back to where we just got shot at. And so we need, like, I'll put it simply. My wife and I are like, we're going to go to an undisclosed location. I can't do Timcast IRL. Like, we've gotten crazy death threats. We were told by the Fed some of them seem credible. They didn't say they are. I don't want to lie about it. They said, based on the statements that were made, the threats that were made, this appears to be credible based on previous actions from certain crazed individuals. So we said, okay. Then you get someone circling our property, then they shoot at it. So we're like, okay, we're not going to be retarded and just sit here and wait for someone to kick the door in with an AR and start opening fire on my staff, my guests, or whatever it is. So we're talking to Rumble, and we're basically saying, like, how do we build something bigger? The good news is this could actually end up being closed door, open window, in that we build something tremendously massive with Rumble. I think it's very likely to happen. Meaning, I'll just say, like, the stuff that we're already working on times 10. Other creators coming in, shows coming together, big studio, conventions. There's big ideas here. And the good news is I think Rumble really wanted to do a big project that was going to, like, reshape the space. And so when this happened, it was kind of like, well, I guess now you have to come and join us on this grand mission. And as much as I hate Florida, my wife and I were like, we'll do it if we can make this happen. So it may be, you know, God closes the door, he opens a window. Could be good. Could be good. All right. And Antipathy says neocons are just trying to take control of the GOP by slandering opposition as anti-Semitic. I don't completely disagree. But there are certainly people who just won't stop screaming about the Jews. And it's annoying.
Yeah.
I certainly think it's stupid when these super pro-Israel people are like, if you criticize my country, you hate Jews. Like, no, I have no problem with Jews whatsoever. Not at all.
Yeah. That's why I made the point on the show yesterday is, like, I was laying out the play from the neocons as sort of dig back up the old play where they would just define anyone to the right of Ted Cruz as alt-right. As I think that, as you can see, they're doing the same thing where anyone to the right of Ted Cruz is now a groyper, which is ironic because Nick Fuentes himself hates J.D. Vance. He just wants to also derail the Vance campaign. So you're seeing both the actual groypers and indeed the neocons both trying to derail a Vance 28 campaign, but the neocons are trying to poison the well for Vance by labeling, again, everyone to the right of Ted Cruz as a groyper for no reason.
Indeed. Yeah, I tweeted out in response to Vivek Ramaswamy, heritage Americans can become president. The arguments don't matter. Like, it's in the Constitution, it's true. You can argue, like, how far back you have to go to be heritage American, but there exists something that is different from an American. There is an American with the legal standing to be the president, and there's an American that does not have that. So there is a distinction. But I like Vivek on a lot of issues, so I'm not trying to, people need to understand, I criticize one guy on one thing, and people are like, Tim's attacking Tucker, and I'm like, I criticize him, I did.
I think Vivek's important.
I like a lot of his work, I don't know.
Vivek's super important for this movement because he'll say things outside the box that ruffle the base on purpose. I mean, he just knows how important it is to say certain truths sometimes, even if they're seemingly unpopular at the moment.
All right. Masamune says, Tim, there's a great mass of youth on YouTube that are actively seeking out contact with maps. I'm not kidding. Please shout out Father Void for exposing this atrocious behavior as well as the maps who are encouraging it. Don't say map. Just say pedo. But I get the point you're trying to make. That's messed up. I get a lot of videos on Instagram where it's dudes beating up pedophiles. You know?
Really? Have you seen
and I'm like.
Have you seen the one guy who does the alley-oop smack where his boy throws the pedo in the air and then the guy smacks him in the air and they call it the alley-oop smack?
Did he really do that?
Oh, it's a guy. It's like he specializes in the
My
alley-oop
only
smack.
concern is like sooner or later one of these guys are gonna get the wrong dude.
Yeah, and there's also like a debate to be had about like half of these guys are clearly just like people with like Down syndrome and stuff like that. So there's no, it's like maybe they're just using this as an excuse to beat like people with disabilities up.
Yeah, they're like, man, we
I mean, a
couldn't
pedophile's a pedophile, but it's like, you know, maybe just let the police handle
we
it
couldn't do
sometimes.
bum fights, so
Yeah.
but,
Indeed.
You know, if it's
But the
pedo,
alley-oop
it's
smack is very keen.
good.
I'm a fan.
I'm torn because I'm concerned about vigilantism in that there have already been a few stories where they've insinuated that they got the wrong guy.
Yeah.
Like somebody was in a similar area that looked kind of like the person, and because from online photos you're never too sure. It's rough because I don't care because I like these videos. You know what I mean? Like
Even if
they're stopping pedos from preying on kids.
Yeah.
I don't want to see any extreme violence or anything like that, but Instagram's these videos. But I am concerned about the vigilantism because sooner or later something bad's going to happen.
Well, not only that, but like there are people on the left that would consider their activism vigilantism.
Right, exactly.
You know?
They'd argue the exact same thing. Like, I love watching a capitalist or a Nazi get punched, and it's like, man,
no.
I mean, it's actually so close to the argument because they say, oh, you know, by them not affirming my identity, that's actually doing violence to me, so I'm preventing violence, which is just vigilantism.
That's actually a really good point to describe to people this feeling. Say, you know how you feel when you watch like one of those videos where a pedophile gets punched in the face, and everyone's gonna be like, yeah, I enjoy those videos. That's how the left feels watching conservatives get punched in the face.
I don't like those videos, though, personally. I don't know. Because isn't it illegal? Like, it's assault, even if the guy's in the middle of prepping a crime.
I mean, if you're a vigilante, you can't like charge the guy. So
no, if the vigilante punches the pedophile, doesn't he still go to prison for assault?
Yeah.
The vigilante?
Yeah, because the police haven't gotten involved. So it's like this guy, you just punched it by the police's standards, an innocent person.
Yep.
Okay.
You can't take the law into your own hands.
Don't vigilante, no.
Yeah, there's a lot of guys out there that do it like the right way. Is they literally just draw these guys in. They get everything written down, put it in paper, hand it over to the police. I think a big issue with the vigilante guys that just want to beat people up is they never even turn the stuff over to the police. So they literally just smack a guy around and then cut him loose.
Yeah.
Which all that does is it ensures the pedophiles can be more prudent in the future.
Yeah.
Rather than the guys that are able to actually put together a case, they can hand that over to the cops and then the cops can put the guy away.
Yeah, it also sort of strengthens that that stereotype that people want to kill you because you're trans. People are like, I'm afraid just because he's a pedophile, people want to hurt him. That's like, but that's just who I am, man. No, I just want to hurt me for being who I am. Like,
I'll put it like this: if you're a pedophile and you don't prey upon children, you keep it to yourself. You don't do any weird things online with child abuse content. Keep it to yourself. Shut up. Fine. Like, just don't commit crimes. Don't target kids. Don't make any weird art. Don't do any of the garbage. Just keep it in your mind. Stay away from people. If you're acting upon it, you're gonna get your ass kicked.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's
let's be very, very polite for the law and for the cameras. By the police when they catch you, and you deserve it.
That's one of the things that the quote unquote maps say is they're like, I'm non-offending, so it's okay. Or, if I don't act on it, you know, it's okay.
You know why that's not okay? Because they're trying to normalize it in the public.
Yeah.
Shut your mouth, go away, keep it to yourself. You act on it anyway, you go to jail, you get locked up. Because this argument, we can look at the slippery slope argument all across the board. Like in 2010, when the conservatives said if they legalize gay marriage, they're going to teach sodomy in schools. Literally happened. Mm-hmm. So these they try to use that semantic BS to hide what they do. They want to argue they're non-offending. No, what they want to do is they want to build compassion so that they can try to normalize it.
Mm-hmm.
F that.
Yeah.
There's a line, man. So anyway. All right. Buffalo Bill says, Tim, we love Israel. America is just an idea, and your boomer audience loves Israel.
That sounds like a
well, I think Buffalo Bill, maybe you should consider the country you live in. And if you love Israel so much, why don't you go move to Israel? I'm sure they'd welcome you. Buffalo Bill says, we stand with Israel. We denounce Tucker and Candace. America is just an idea. See, this is the problem. It's people like this Buffalo Bill guy who don't actually care about America that feeds and fuels these anti-Semites.
Wasn't he the guy from yesterday that was talking about the gambling money?
No, not him.
It wasn't him?
This is the guy yesterday who was saying that he loved Israel and...
Oh, okay. Is he trolling? Because it's two on the
Yes,
nose.
for sure.
What do you mean? Of course not. He loves Israel.
No, he just
In fact,
loves
we love
Buffalo
Israel.
Bill loves
Actually,
Israel.
We love Israel.
Clocked
He
our
and his
tea.
family.
He's clocked our tea. Oh, no.
It sounds like a bait the way it was phrased. By
We
him.
have to read this one, guys. It's the last show of 2025. Geraldo Don says, per Timcast tradition, I'm with my wife.
Let's go.
In the hospital today, welcoming our twin girls, Cassandra and Isabella. Get to making babies.
Twin.
Patriots.
Twin.
Excellent name choices, by the way.
I can't wait for the first person that's like, I'm in the hospital with my wife. We all start clapping. He's like, yeah, she's getting her stomach pumped.
I'm just waiting for someone to have children, twins, fraternal, and tell us that they're naming them Tristan and Isolde. Only Phil gets the reference.
I didn't get it.
Exactly. Well, you're not well read. See, these are the problems I have. Because I get these marketing people being like, Tim, no one knows what Tristan and Isolde is. You can't talk about that. Don't we have Scandinavians who watch? No.
You can talk about it.
I know. It's a joke.
It's your show,
I like
man.
saying
Your
weird
name's on the
esoteric
title.
things. You guys can Google search Tristan and Isolde. You'll have fun. And black sails and white sails. Come on, you guys don't know the story?
No, it sounds awesome though.
The guy went to go rescue the chick, and then he's like, if I fly the white sail, it means I rescued her. If not, but then they fell in love, and then the king was like, oh, what was me? Like, it's like a famous folklore, whatever, dude.
Okay.
This guy Ian.
All right. I'm starting to believe.
You need to read a book.
Yeah. You're
That's
right.
why you will never be a privateer.
Privateer. It's not in my blood. I pay the privateers
And I know you know the story of Gellert's grave, right?
This one I'm not.
by name.
Oh my God.
Sorry.
No.
I know you all know because
Okay.
I've told the story like 800,000 times.
Yes,
Is that the
Esoteric, yeah.
dog?
You know what? You know what?
I've only read the rationale.
Because it's the last show of the year, I want to do it. So the legend, which I'll probably get wrong, but I'm going to try my best, is in Wales. And it's a story of a Welsh prince who went about his daily dealings, as he does, leaving his young son, in the care of his trusty hound, Gellert. And as he went about to do his daily tidings of such, errands, maybe a little hunt, he returns home to find that the door is open to his home. And when he enters, panicked, he sees his furniture's flipped about. He sees where his son was in the crib, The crib is flipped over. There's blood everywhere. He then sees his faithful hound, Gellert, walk up to him, blood dripping from his mouth. And Prince Waylon, angry that Gellert, his faithful hound, betrayed him and slew his only son, drew his sword and thrust it into the side of Gellert, who then let out a dying whelp and collapsed. The whelp of which awoke Waylon's child. He hears the cry, and he runs over and tosses the crib aside, and he finds his son safe next to the wolf that Gellert had slain to save his child. And they say from that moment on, Prince Waylon never smiled again. Now, they say the story's not true. It's just a story they tell children, the moral being do not jump to conclusions.
Yeah, patience. It's a moral of patience and wrath.
But there is a location, I believe it's in Wales, called Gellert's Grave. And don't jump to conclusions. I've always wanted to make a short film about that.
I thought that it was interesting.
Maybe I can do it with AI.
How wrath is, you think of it as anger. It's the sin known for anger. But the opposite of that, the virtue, is patience. It's like when you're angry, how if you let things settle and just kind of figure out why, maybe you don't have to resort to
killing your dog.
All right, we got one more chat here, and it's from Nor Busy. Myron Gaines is one of the biggest reasons Harris is not president. They should be welcoming him at every event.
What did I say?
Unfortunately, too much Israelis are involved which Myron exposes. They're in there now. They're chilling. My friends, it has been a tremendous year. There have been ups, there have been downs, there have been shocking moments. We laughed, we cried, we hugged. Thank you all so much for the memories. Thank you for watching. Christmas is abound, and I hope you have the warmest of winter holidays with your family. And I don't mean physically warm. I hope you have great snow if you live in the snowy area, and there's jingle bells and all the good stuff. But I mean warm family tidings. So it really does mean a lot to me, to all of you out there who have supported the work that we've done. If you want to give us a going away present, a Christmas present, join us at timcast.com. The Discord server. It is not money that will be used because I'm being threatened by Zionists or the Irish. It is money that is generally just used for the
potato
for the company. The money is used to pay staff. The money is used to feed staff and buy equipment. And there's a great community of people on the Discord that are around 24/7 with morning shows, pre-shows, after shows, and they will be there throughout the holidays. There have been several people in the Discord who have gotten married. In fact, I believe just the other day, they had a child.
Yep, we had our first Discord child.
Wow. A child of legend. Yeah. A child of prophecy.
He will be known.
So, but regardless, maybe you don't want to join the community. Your membership just makes all this possible. As we enter the new year with a lot of questions around how we're going to operate, how this project is going to expand, we could use your support. So thank you so much. Follow me on X and Instagram at Timcast. I will probably still have some videos I'll put up throughout the winter break because I'll probably get bored. And there's fun vlogs to be made. But thank you so much. Rollo, do you want to shout anything out?
Yeah, just the sixth book is out right now. This is The Irrational Male Reignite. Sixth book in the series right now. It just came out. We just published in November, and Audible comes out on Monday, actually. So,
awesome.
So all of it's good to go. And I'm actually going into surgery on.
Oh, really?
I think your producer talked to you about this. The reason I couldn't come out in the summertime was because I had some medical issues that I have to have taken care of, and so I'll be going in on Tuesday. It should be okay.
All right. Well, I hope so.
But coming out on the other side of it, and got a lot of things to do and coming up in the next year.
Right on. Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for hanging out.
Thanks.
Mr. Brown.
You can follow me on X and Instagram at Real Tate Brown. And yeah, 2025 has been really good to me. I started here at Timcast end of March, and it's changed my life. So,
and it's only been like 4 or 5 beatings to get his work in order.
It's true. It's been Tim has a very Singaporean style of construction. But yeah, thank you to Tim and the crew. Like, it's been a great year.
Thanks for coming to Vegas, man.
Ian.
Yeah, man. Thanks, Tate. Everybody, thank you again for this year. What a time to be alive. Keep making your best stuff right now and keep putting it out, because having dramatic, resounding responses. Keep going. Go to graphene.movie, which is what I've been working on. I've been producing this graphene movie out of Rice University. Graphene movie at graphene.movie. Check it out. Sign up for the mailing list. And you can follow me at Ian Crossland across the internet. Do your best. Make love. Have a wonderful year. See you later.
I am Phil that Remains on Twix. I just want to wish everyone a very Merry Christmas a happy new year. And I want to say thank you to Tim Pool for allowing me to be a part of this. I really enjoy, coming on here every night and giving my opinion. You can check out my band, All That Remains, at Apple Music, Amazon Music, Pandora, Spotify, YouTube, and Deezer. We're going on tour next year, starting in May, or actually starting April 29th. The tour is going to be All That Remains, Born of Osiris, and Dead Eyes. We're going to be out for a few weeks. Don't forget, The Left Lane is for Crime.
We will see you all likely January 5th. But stick around. We'll probably still have clips coming up. And who am I kidding? I'm going to work at some point during the break because I'm going to be bored. So thank you guys so much, and we'll see you all next time.
Merry Christmas.